tied into the cartels are you right now, and are you gonna put yourself in danger by talking about some of this on the podcast?
Yeah, well, like I said, I've never been a member of the cartel. Just to get that clear,
Right.
I've never been a member, but I grew up with a lot of friends, and it's just like I was telling you that movie, Slumdog Millionaire and Forrest Gump, where the guy's just like at the right place at the right, or maybe at the wrong place at the wrong time. I don't know how you want to. It depends on the perspective. Where I've met these people like in different situations, like street, like most of them I met them doing graffiti. To be honest, when we were just bangers and we were just we're just kids tagging in and like fighting each other, fighting with rocks, if anything, just like, hey, there goes whoever, and we chase him down, and then he passes a certain block and then we don't chase him anymore, that's that type of stuff. But eventually all these little, and it's funny because it was like the leaders of the crews are the ones that actually became leaders in what is it now, like little sections of cartels and stuff. And that's how I communicate with most of them. Like, I got my fair share. I've been locked up. I've done that's the life I want to live at some point.
But you said you were never an official member of the cartel, but
no,
you obviously had. It could have been very easily happened that you could have been a member of the cartel. Yeah, a lot of the guys you grew up with are cartel members, right?
Yeah, if I could, I'll get my membership like tomorrow. But nah, man. I mean, shout out to all you motherfuckers. You know who you are. Those who speak English. But I mean, it's a really like a gray area to consider yourself part of like a cartel. You really have to be like working for them, like following their instructions, you know what I mean? Like, because a lot of like, let's say when I was 19, I used to cross people, like illegal people. That's what I was arrested and that's what I was charged for.
What do you mean when you say that?
Well,
crossing.
I used to work for this guy. He would bring people from South, like just immigrants. And I was wanted, when I was young, bro, I was crazy. Like I would meet all these like older cartels that weren't like my friends when they were young, like older cartels. And I'd just be like, hey, what's up? ¿Qué hay que hacer? Hey, like, what's there to do? Like, I want to make some money. Like, I was always down for it. I was just looking for it, That's why I was in jail at 19. But eventually it was this guy, rest in peace, Don Sergio. He was pretty chill, man. He never got into violent stuff or anything. He only crossed people over. He had like drivers, and he had people like me that walked them over because he actually like he liked me. He didn't want me to like he just saw how I was asking everybody for jobs and stuff like that. So he was like, look, come here. You're gonna do this for me, and it's like the easiest thing you could do to like keep you the farthest away, but keep you working for me and like keep me on his watch. So he would have these safe houses where he would keep the illegal people and like the immigrants that came in. And if we used papers back then, like if he had like boxes of visas and like all these papers that weren't reported stolen or anything. So if let's say you got this white guy from Guadalajara, he's illegal, he's trying to make it back to Florida. So we find a visa with that has a USC residency, so you can work over here. So what we do is we give you a uniform, which we have tons of uniforms, like gardening uniform, construction jobs uniform, all types of shit. So we'll dress you up as you like if you were going to work, give you a little lunch bag and everything, and you would just follow me across the border. Because he never wanted me to do the driving and like the hard stuff. He was just like, just walk him across the border, take him to the trolley station, whatever, the H Street or whatever, and somebody would be there to pick him up. And that's what I did for when I started when I was younger. And
what are the things you have to like look out for? Or, like, what do you have to do when you walk them across the border? What do you have to be aware of?
That's why he gave me that job, because that's basically the easiest. You know what I mean? Like, my charge was aiding and abetting, or abetting. I don't know how to pronounce it, but aiding and abetting. They couldn't charge me with transporting them because they weren't in my car. They were just following me across. But eventually, one of them got arrested. And they saw me that, like, a few of them got arrested, and I was on the cameras, I guess. And one of them eventually snitched on me. He's like, yeah, that's the guy that I was following.
How old were you?
When I got arrested, I think I was 18 or 19. 19, yeah, I believe. And so, yeah, that's how I got arrested. I just crossed the border one day, and the It was actually a girl, like a 17-year-old girl. She crossed too. She was following me like a couple of people behind me. So she crossed too. And once I waited for her and I seen she crossed, I was like, all right, we made it. I got her on the trolley. And this is the funniest part because while I was on the trolley, it was usually me and another guy. And we both had people following us. But his didn't make it and mine did. And all of a sudden, I kind of had this feeling and I was talking to him and he was like, hey, I think they might be onto us. And I was like, I don't think so, bro. And even if they are, I mean, even if this white guy next to me was the cop, he could just go fuck himself, bro. Like, what the fuck is he going to do? What is he going to charge me for? And he wasn't the cop. It was the guy behind me. We were being followed. Like when I made the drop and they picked up the girl, as soon as she opened the door to get in the car that was picking her up, all these cars, like undercover cops, just started pulling up with like the little red and blue on the grill.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh fuck! And it was irony at that moment because I was like, damn, they were following us. You know what I mean? So I'm outside this raw store, just fucking with my hands like against the wall, and my friend's getting arrested, and they're just like talking shit to us, like, but they're referring to me as pinche pollo, pinche migrante type shit. And I remember I told us, I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm a U.S. citizen. And he was like, what? And they took my passport, and then everything went like a little quiet. I'm not saying they got scared because I was still arrested, but they watched their words after that. Oh. They were like, oh, we got a USC. And then they put me to the side. They were like, hey, are these too tight? You know, like they started treating me like a little with more respect. But at first they were like, yeah, we got you pinches pollos, pinches ilegales.
What year would this have been when you were 18, 19?
Should be 2009.
Okay.
2009.
Okay.
So yeah, they put me in the back of this car where there was like a child seat next to it, and it was like a man and a woman that were driving me. So they just taking me over, and I'm like, fuck, because that day I was actually gonna enroll to adult school because my mom had been giving me shit about not doing shit and stuff. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna enroll today. As soon as I finish with something, I'm gonna go to the adult school and enroll in that shit. So they took me back to the border, and they let me make a phone call. So I called my mom. And she's like, what happened? I was like, well, don't say anything because I got arrested. I'm like in front of them right now. And they arrested me because I had illegal people with me and stuff. And she was like, oh, well, what's going to happen? I was like, well, I don't know. Eventually got to sit here till they send me to the MCC. And I just kept mentioning the MCC because she was arrested. And when she was arrested and my grandma, they took her to the MCC. And like, they just take everybody to the MCC, to be honest. Everybody
what is the MCC?
The Metropolitan Detention Center. Well, okay. Over here is the MDC, but over there is MCC.
Okay.
So it's just a federal prison. There's others like the CO, the GO, and the CCAs. But when I was growing up, my mom and my grandma, they were involved in like some shady stuff with some people from Sinaloa. And I didn't know, I was too young. I was like 2 or 3 years old, probably something like that. But as you're growing up and stuff, you hear like the news or like the gossiping. And my mom had me when she was like 17, 18. So I was like, and she's the oldest of her brothers. So I was like the little brother, kind of like they just took me everywhere. And I kind of have these flashbacks of stuff. And sometimes I ask my mom like, hey, remember this house with the bulletproof windows and stuff like that? And she's like, how the hell you remember that? You know, shit like that. But eventually they got caught, and I was really young. I barely remember this. I just know the story because I talked to her. But eventually, yeah, my grandma tried to work for somebody else, and it was a good luck for them because they used to cross things. You know, they used to cross like heroin, I think, back then across the border.
What year was that?
Like the early 90s.
Okay.
Like 93, I want to say, something like that. So yeah, my grandma she was working for this one dude, and she was making him money, but then his work stopped for a little bit or slowed down, as I understand, something like that. And she got a job, work from somebody else. So I guess this guy, I mixed up the story right here, but one of the guys actually used her to get like another bigger load, so they snitched on her so they would catch her, and well, she's getting arrested, whatever, a bigger load crossed. So instead of sending her with drugs, they sent her with like cut. I don't know how you say it in English, but they just sent her with like, when they ran it through, it was like less than 10% heroin. You know what I mean? Yeah. It wasn't really drugs. So eventually they got like 3 months in jail, whatever, and she got deported, and my mom got her papers back again. I can't remember. Well, back then the laws were a little different. So, yeah. But after that, my mom just went straight arrow. Like she didn't want to know anything about that life anymore. She works from Mondays to Sundays. She's had like 2 to 3 jobs from times, because she raised me by herself. I got 2 sisters, 2 younger sisters. But but yeah, after that, she just went like that. But at this point, um, I started listening to like the music. I read a lot, so I hear names in the news in the newspaper, and then I'm out in the streets now a little bit because I'm like 13, 14 and stuff, and I'm hanging out with these older dudes, and they hear names like the Arellanos or like El Chapo or shit like that, and it's just things that I've heard in my house out of gossiping, just like the news. I mean, maybe they never met my grandma or anything, but like it was just when you're around that world, it's just the news and stuff, the gossiping, the friends that come over and they're drinking and they say stuff, and I'm there playing around, so I get to listen to everything. And you know how it is, they're like, he's a kid, he doesn't understand. But I kind of did, like, not, I didn't understand, but as I grew older, everything started making sense. You know what I mean? It just stayed there. So I was always a fan of music. I started listening to music really, really young, and I would only listen to like rap. And Mexican music seemed to me like old people music. You know what I mean? Because it was like I would just see like old people drinking and listening to like sad songs. That was my perspective of it. But then one time I remember I got this CD and I heard a narco corrido, which is a song for the like, dedicated to like a story of narco. Back then there wasn't that like they are today, but it was a story. And I love stories. I love reading. I write myself. I consider myself a storyteller. So when I heard it was a story, I really got deep into it, and I just started like playing more and more and more. And then all of a sudden, like names, like last names started popping out that I knew or that I've heard before, like from like the family that my grandma used to work for. So something clicked in me, and it wasn't really like I didn't really get it. But my grandma, she's kind of still of a fan of that life, or still was back then. Like it wasn't like my mom. My mom, she was like, no, I don't want none of this. Like fuck this. But my grandma, she was still kind of like. She was willing to introduce me to some of that people when I grew up a little bit.
She's a gangster.
Yeah, she was a gangster. She was a gangster. Just a little bit of background on my grandma. She met like some of these names that you hear now. Like back then when El Chapo wasn't the Chapo that you know now, he was just like another mid-level dealer. And my grandma would be one of those ladies that she had her best friend. She would be dating the dealers, and my grandma was like, "Hey, go bring us food. Hey, go bring us this." She would do like secretary kind of like stuff, like maid, clean around the house, stuff like that. So she was around, and she got her fair share of things, she got her fair share of knowing people. So whenever I came up to ask her, I was like, "Hey, I heard this in a song or whatever," and she just break the whole thing down for. She's like, "Oh yeah, that's him. He's married to this lady, and she's comadre with this lady. They're fathers to this guy." Like she would give me the whole thing, and that's how I started. Like, cause my mom wouldn't tell me anything. She didn't like it. She didn't like me going like that way. You know what I mean? Which was clear where I was going. So but she was always working. You know what I mean? And as a single mom, always working and stuff. And she was living in TJ, but then as soon as she could, she found like a place to stay in San Diego with like a roommate. And so like we'll cross the border every day because I went to school over there, but I lived in TJ. So we crossed the border every day, bro. I'm telling you, like from Monday to Friday, half my life was in San Diego and half my life was in TJ.
What is like the biggest misconception when it comes to your experience living in Tijuana and Mexico and dealing with these guys and what you see on the media when you see people like reporting on what's going on? It's just when people, they make it sound like it's just a war zone down there like that. I mean, there's a lot of legitimate people reporting on it, like Luis. Shout out to Luis for hooking us up and making this happen.
Yeah, shout out to Luis. Yeah.
He's one of the rare guys who are, I feel like, actually in it, like reporting on what's really going on.
Yeah, that's why I actually kind of connected with him and actually liked him and because I see his work and stuff. And I have a lot of reporter friends like on kind of on his level and stuff like that he knows too. But they like I explained it to him. I don't like how they like. I'm gonna give you an example real quick, and it's the same thing. There's this author that write about narco corridos in Mexico. I forgot his name right now. And one day they invited me to one of their presentations, and they were gonna talk about like the narco corridos and stuff like that. So I'm like, I got excited. I was like, okay, it's like academic people talking about like all this. So I show up there, and it's really all academic. Like I was the only. I felt awkward being there. You know what I mean? So I was telling I was telling Luis, I was like, I don't like how they talk about like this world, and I was right there, and they were looking at me like I was a little monkey in a lab type thing. Like, oh, instead of like like talking like you and me, and like, hey, how's it, like, how's your flight? You know, like just regular people shit. They were like, so how does it feel to be like, you know, they were on really like investigative type thing, like psychological. Like, I don't know, I felt like I was being observed and watched, and it wasn't really like they invited me because I thought, you know, I knew one of them, and I thought they were, you know, it was gonna be just like some.
Where were these guys from?
They're from Mexico. They're authors. They have a lot of books and stuff like that. But that's how I feel like people. Nobody dares to, like Luis. Nobody dares to go in the, like we call it, the wolf's mouth. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like they
in
just
the
want
wolf's
to
lair.
look at it from afar and report whatever they see. So they just get like splashed on little information. But like Luis, I've been giving Luis like some real good, like, hey, this is what's happening and nobody's talking about right now. And he's been like looking into it and stuff like that.
Yeah, what he did going into
that
Chapo's
was
son's
crazy.
house and filming all that shit, that was pretty mind-bending stuff.
That was
Like,
crazy, man. I
he
told
was,
him,
do you think, like, he was legitimately risking his life going in there and doing all that shit. I mean, if he would have got arrested, he would have been fucked.
I don't think there's no arrest going on in a situation like that, bro. I mean, it might make it look like an arrest.
Yeah.
But most likely, I think they would have handed it over to like the owners of the house. You know what I mean?
I think he said that he met.
Yeah, I seen the video.
What was El Chapo's son's name again? His first
Ovidio.
Ovidio. He said he met Ovidio's mom and his lawyer when he first got there, and he like waited for them to leave.
Yeah.
And like I was asking him, like, what is your biggest fear? Like running into sicario there or whatever. He's like, and he said honestly, he's like, my worst fear was having one of the police come and throw me in a jail in Sinaloa or in Culiacan. And that would be a worst case scenario for a journalist like me, is being in a fucking jail there with those guys.
Yeah, I don't think jail would have been it for him, bro. Like, they have this thing in over there, the owners of the house and them. It's very well known. They brag about it on their songs and stuff. I don't know if you heard the term la tabla. It's
A tape board.
a board. It's kind of like this.
That's what they call a surfboard, la tabla, de surfear.
Yeah. They say that too, but not this kind of tabla is used for way different reasons. It's one of those like a.
Yes, he told me about this shit.
Yeah, so this is very common to happen over there, bro. So I even tell him, I was like, bro, you're about to meet the tabla with that video, bro. Like I'm pretty sure if you go back and like if one of them guys, good luck for him that he does his stuff in English. So like that kind of keeps him like not a lot of Spanish speaking like casino, because those people watch podcasts, bro. Those people see podcasts. Those people listen to podcasts.
Which people specifically?
Like cartel people. Like the owners of the house type of people, you know what I mean? They have time, bro. They have time. Trust me. And I've told them before, like, yeah, I mean, like I said, lucky for him, it's in English. So his audience is like mostly on this side, on the US. Because if it was in Spanish, that video would have gone probably viral in like the Mexican media and stuff, like all the cartel TikToks and all that stuff that goes around and shit. I think that would have made him viral.
Wow.
And yeah, I don't think the police station would have been the place he was going, bro. He was probably, I mean, everybody would have known, like, hey, they caught somebody in a video house. Oh, like that would have been the news in Culiacan. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. He also said that out of all the journalists that get killed, I mean, I guess more journalists die in Mexico than anywhere else.
Yeah.
And he said they're all Mexican journalists. None of them are American journalists.
Oh no. They know the kind of attention they're gonna get if they do something to. Right. I mean, that might scare them. You know, they might do a little something like that to him, but they will let him go home. So they don't want the hate on them unless he reported on some shit like where he really lifted up a lid on something. Well, yeah, you know. But I mean, many of these reporters have died for like stupid reasons, to be honest. I mean, and it's sad, it sucks, but then again, it's like a friend was telling me, he's like, what do they want to report? He's like, what more do they want to tell people? Like, it's already known, everything is known. Like, why? The thing is, like, sometimes, and I'm not justifying the deaths at all. Like, it's something sad that should not be like happening. But sometimes they get so involved in like reporting on a certain type of individual or a certain cartel or something. And I understand it's reporting and stuff like that. But if you're the guy that they're looking into, you might take it personal too. You know, you might be like, hey, why are you not reporting on them and you know, why you know, I'm not saying this happened with any individual or something. It's just something that I was talking to a friend about, and yeah, he was telling me like, bro, we know everything that's going on. Like, there's way too many news outlets. Like, it's not like we don't know that there's bodies hanging. It's not that we don't know who's doing this, who's doing that. Like, why do they want to go so deep? You know what I mean? And then Luis talked about this too. He's like, it's just a part of like a reporter in us that is like grimy, like doesn't care about anything but the story. You know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, that's why I don't never want to be a reporter. You know what I mean? Like that's why when I write, I tell people I tell stories. I don't tell gossiping. Like if you come read my stories, it's just they're based on like real stuff, but I'm not telling like real shit that because I don't want to gossiping. I don't want to tell like chismes, what we say in Spanish. I don't want to. It is not a page of where you're gonna come here and find out about who did this and who did what. It's like for entertainment, But reporters, man, they get in there and it's sad because in Mexico, people die every day, and and it's pretty easy how.
How many of your childhood friends ended up in cartels?
Shit. Alive or dead right now?
Both. Both.
I would have to say more than 20.
More than 20?
Yeah.
Wow.
When we were young and I had this graffiti crew, we became very popular as a graffiti crew just because we threw big ass parties. Like our families did good back then. Like my family is from San Diego, so everybody would work in San Diego, and living in Mexico back then, it was really, you were making money. Like, you had all kinds of groceries in your house and, all this stuff. So when we started throwing parties, like other of my friends' families that were doing good as well. So we just threw like this for like 14, 15-year-olds, we threw big ass parties. We just got a bunch of alcohol. My mom would buy me like alcohol, like, cause she would see like, it was just like tagging and, it was nothing like in parties. And she's like, as long as I see you where you're partying at, that's cool, because we rented houses. Like we did real nice parties. We did like flyers and stuff. So we became pretty well popular in TJ with our crew. So when everybody's transitioning to these other lives, I'm already well known, like, and I'm doing stuff too. Like I'm no innocent, I'm not trying to say like, oh, I was just watching. Nah, I was in this shit. Like I was looking for it. It like, and where you're like trying to get into it, like I was, you just do stupid shit for free. Like you're not even like, you're not even
You're just
like,
bored.
Not bored, but you just want to like build a resume type thing.
Yeah.
Like nobody's gonna hire you if you don't have no experience. You know what I mean? Like you gotta get this experience somehow. Gotta do internships for the cartel type thing. You know what I mean? You start hanging out with people and you start doing shit with them for free. Just typical. Oh, hey, you want to go with me? I got something to do. All right, let's go. And I was already looking for this shit. You know what I mean? So when I'm 19 and I get to jail, I already have my fair share experience of dealing with like cartel friends, cartel activities and stuff like that. But I'm not a member, you know what I mean? I'm not in there yet. And then, but I just keep getting like I said, now I'm in the MCC and I'm 19 and I'm kind of known. So when you show up to MCC and like this federal prison, there's all this conspiracies and people with conspiracies, like all the top dogs, the most wanted fools are there and all this shit. And I was young. I remember I was really quiet and I just got there and started talking to some people and stuff. And one day there was these 3 dudes talking to an older guy. And these 3 dudes, when I first got there, they kind of bullied me. They saw me that I was well dressed and stuff, so they thought I was like a good kid, that did some stupid shit. So I didn't say anything. I was like, I was already ready to fight one of them. Like, well, the next time he wasn't picking on me that bad. But I don't need for me to pick that bad on me for me to get like I'm like I'm mecha corta type thing, what they say in Spanish. I don't really take a lot of shit. So I was like, all right, next time this guy sees me that way or says something around me, I'm just gonna ask him to fight. But they're talking to this older dude that just came in for like half a ton of marijuana or some shit like that. He has like a big conspiracy, and you hear about these conspiracies where they're like, oh, these guys are coming. Like you see the news and shit, like, oh, they're coming over here, like Hell's Angels conspiracies and all this big stuff. So he's talking to them about some people, and they're kind of bowing down to him because he's like a real like top dog, like he's a boss. And then he starts mentioning some of my friends, some of my childhood friends. One of them, his family has been involved in the cartel. So when he joined the cartel, he was already like he got a good job in it. You know what I mean? So when he mentions him, I was like, hey, I know Jandro. Shout out to Jandro, he's still in prison. I was like, hey, I know Jandro. And then one of the other dudes that like didn't really like me, he's like, how do you know? And you don't know that fool. And then I told the guy, he's like, yeah, his parents with him and we grew up with it. He's like, oh no, he knows. He's like, nah. And after that, everything changed. You know what I mean? Like they started saying like, yeah, nah, he knows, because I was young and I looked like a kid, but I was already out in the streets. Like I was going everywhere. Like I remember I used to steal my mom's cars and stuff like that, and I would just drive to like no places. Like, because a lot of people don't leave their hood and their surroundings. And I was just like, I learned how to drive when I was 12, so I would just like steal the car, like get a little pillow on the seat, and I get my friends like, hey, let's go. I pick up my friends and stuff, and we just drive all over, man, and just go meet girls and like go to places where other people didn't really want to go because they couldn't get a hold of a car or whatever. And so I've always really been out there, So when I get to prison, jail, the detention center, because I never really made it to prison. I just start meeting people, and like we all know people that know people that know people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that gets me a seat in the table somehow. And yeah, when I get out, I still do shit, bro. Like I get out.
How long were you in there for?
Well, here's the thing. My original charge, the sentence was 2 months, 60 days. So I get off, but I get 3 years probation, which sucks. So I don't recommend. If you could do your time inside prison and get off without probation, do that, because probation, they're just gonna grab a hold of you.
Yeah.
So eventually I violate my probation. I smoke bud. Like I said, I smoke a lot of weed, and I keep going to TJ without permission. I see it doesn't pop out in the computer, so it becomes easy for me to go every day.
What's it like going there? How do you cross the border? Like, what is the border crossing like going to TJ every day? Are you just walking across?
Both.
Driving?
Car. Well, at this time, my mom has a house over there in San Diego now.
Yeah.
So she lives there. But I have my aunt and my cousins that they still live in TJ, but they either work or go to school in San Diego. So like they'll cross real early, spend a night, spend like a few hours at my mom's house till it's time to go to like work and stuff. So they're always at my mom's house. They come and going every day.
Yeah.
So whenever I want to go, I'm like, hey Tia, can I catch a ride with you? Okay. And she's going to my grandma's house, and I'm going to my grandma's house.
Oh,
so
shit.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
So, and I'm crossing with family, so they never say anything on my way back. I thought it was gonna be like, oh, you're in probation, like where's your permits? Like, because you need your permit and stuff. But then once I cross, I don't pop up in the computer because I didn't get arrested at the border. Right. I got arrested inside San Diego. So like the people that get arrested at the border, it pops up for them, but not for me. So once I figured this shit out, I'm 20, bro. Like I'm just gonna I just kept going and stuff. Eventually this shit catches up with me with my probation. He's like, you've been going to TJ for like 150 sometimes unregistered times. You came out dirty in like 2 tests. Like, you're not going to school, you're not working, like, what the fuck, So I'm like, nah, come on, like give me a chance, whatever. So he sends me to the halfway house. He sends me 2 months to the halfway house. And there it's just like, it was just boring, bro, because I never really like looked for a job or anything. I was just fucking doing whatever. Everybody was smoking spice in there. I don't know if you're familiar with spice. Everybody was smoking spice. So I started smoking spice because I don't want to violate probation again. So I just started smoking spice. And eventually I get out the halfway house. And then I violate again for some... I can't remember what I did, to be honest. Oh, no, they switched my probation. After I come out the halfway house, they switched my probation. And the other guy is like... He wasn't having it. He as soon as I fucked up, I can't remember. I think I came out there or something. He sent me back to jail for 4 months. And after getting out to jail, another 4 months in the halfway house. So I was pissed because I was like, I didn't even commit a crime and I'm doing more time for this than for my crime, But this time, I met more people. Like there was these big conspiracies of like the most wanted people that actually now have become good friends, and not because we did illegal shit. El Gordo Villarreal, one of the most wanted people back in like 2008, 2009.
El Gordo
Villarreal, yeah. Now he's writing his book. So I helped him. He found out like that I'm editing and like I got a sense of writing and stuff like that. So he reached out to me. He's like, hey, what I like about your writing is that you use our words and our lingo. So I want to see if you could help me out. And I was like, yeah, for sure. So that's in process right now. And another guy that was with him, he's doing he did 11 years. El Gordo is still inside. But another guy, one of my friends, his name is Fausto. Shout out to Fausto. He did like 11 or 12 years. And right now he's doing straight. But he's trying to get into like the music business, stuff like that. And I'm connected to that. So we hooked up on that, and I got him, I got him some corridos too, because he wanted some corridos. So I helped him out with some of my friends and stuff. But there are these people that I met back then, on that shit. And now they're trying to do like some different stuff. And coming back to what you asked me earlier, how's my communication with some of these? It's kind of like this, like I said, some of them that are still very active, my only communication with them is like, hey, what's up, bro? How you doing? How you been? Oh, no, just here, bro, like chilling. Like I was telling you about this other guy. I want to shout him out, but he doesn't speak English, so I don't. It would be pointless.
I got to get this podcast translated to Spanish.
Yeah. So, like I was telling you in the truck, I hadn't talked to him in a while for a few years. Last time I talked to him, he actually had to. Well, I don't know if he had to, but he killed another of our childhood friends. Like we knew from.
What?
Yeah, it's just cartel politics, and it happened at a party or something. So so when the word gets out, you know how gossiping is. They get like they start mixing information. So they were
Right.
saying that he was dead, that somebody killed him. So I was like, oh fuck, man, So I reached out to a couple of people, like, hey, if he's all right, whatever. And so he somehow he gets a hold of me. He calls me. He's like, hey, what's up? I heard you were looking for me and stuff. I was like, yeah, bro, how you been? Like, are you cool? Like, everything cool? And he's like, oh, I thought you were asking about the other so and so. I was like, oh no, what happened? I was like, nah, he's the one that died. I was like, oh shit, man, that sucks. Well, I heard of one of you guys too died, but I was trying to find out who. But I don't know this. I find this out, like, how do you call it? Like hindsight, whatever.
Yeah.
He was actually trying to find out if I was trying to revenge my friend.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, man. He was like, yeah, you know what happened to him? I was like, nah, do you? He's like, nah, man. But what are you trying to do? You trying to like go after the fools that did that to him or what? Let me know. I was like, nah, man. I'm not really like I'm not trying to do that anymore, because I was already like away from, like, I was trying to stay away from. I was like, nah, man. I was just like, you guys are homies. Like, whatever happened, that shit gets to me. You know what I mean? He's like, all right. And when he said that, I kind of like, what? Like, I sensed that shit. And he's like, all right. Well, I just want to know if you were trying to like look for the dudes, if you're trying to do something, And I was like, I think he's high, I thought he kind of sounded something. He sounded mad or whatever. I was like, nah, man. I mean, it's how it is. Motherfuckers die every day. That's the typical shit, the typical line, the street line. Fools die every day, man. Just like, you be careful, man. Watch your back. He's like, all right, man, cool, whatever. So after that, I didn't talk to him for like 2 to 3 years, till him, and at this point, he's like probably like a second level boss in the Tijuana cartel right now.
Okay.
So 2 or 3 years go by, and him and his boss and like a few other guys, they won some. One of my best friends is a singer. He's really famous. Codiciado. Eric Aragona got his hat right here.
Oh yeah. Hold it up next to your face. People can see it.
Yeah. Puro Codiciado. Yeah, so we became best friends before he popped off. Yeah, this logo.
Oh, he's got a microphone in his hand?
Yeah. And he did a corrido for 2 of my friends that passed away, so I made his logo into my friends. I put them in my fingers.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah, you
So,
got some
yeah,
fucking cool tattoos.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm become best friends with him because we just clicked up, and we were both looking for the dream type thing. He wanted to be a singer, famous and stuff. And at this point, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I just wanted to do something creative. Like I said, I've always loved music since I was
How are you making money? What are you doing for work?
I just selling weed.
Okay.
I try to keep it with the weed, because that's the least, like I was saying earlier, it's like cartel won't fuck with me if I sell weed, and like not even the law sometimes, because they think it's like they think I'm selling Reggie. But I'm saying like these fucking medical marijuana from San Diego. Oh, because this, if I start talking about this, it's going to be I'm going to go into a whole other thing. Because I'm one of the first in TJ that started trafficking weed from America to TJ.
Back to TJ.
Yeah. Back when nobody was doing it. I started doing that shit. And I don't give a fuck who's like, I could show this podcast to any other fools from TJ, and I stand on my word. You know what I mean? I know what I was doing back then. There wasn't really that many. And that's why I got a lot of good clients, because there wasn't really that many people willing to pay $15 for a gram.
That's one of the things that blew my mind when Luis told me this.
Yeah,
he didn't say anything about you, but
no, we talked about, me and Luis talked about this too. I'm talking about like, shit, bro, like,
how the fuck did that happen?
2010, 2011, 2012, somewhere around there. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I did some other shit too that made me money. Like, well, this is a lot of years back. So sometimes my childhood friends, they'll be like, hey, I had some friends in San Diego too that were just robbing fools. They were just robbing cartel fools. They lived in San Diego. They moved from Tijuana to San Diego, and they just started robbing like cartel fools, and they stayed in San Diego so they wouldn't get killed. You know what I mean?
Oh my god!
So they just started doing this shit, and eventually, and I know them because they grew up on the block on the block next behind my house.
Mm.
So I know them since they were little kids. They're actually younger than me. So I was staying in San Diego at this point because I was living with my girlfriend. So we were living in San Diego, and well, I'm just hustling. I'm just trying to find ways to make money. So I call these guys because they're my friends. I don't know they're robbing at this point. I don't know they're doing all this shit. So I'm just thinking like, oh, I'm gonna try to sell them some stuff, you know? Either like some middleman shit, you know, like, hey, I got my friend that has like certain pounds of something. Do you know anybody that needs them? You know, shit like that. And we start kicking it. We start smoking, whatever. And I find out all this shit. Like I found out what they're doing, and I'm like, oh, nah. Like, you know what I mean? Like I ain't trying to do that, none of that shit. So one of my friends calls one of them, and they're like, hey, there's this guy that stole from us. Like, could you guys go get him? Because they know what they're doing. Like a lot of people in here know that they're doing what they're doing, and some of them don't even care anymore because some of them see like, hey, that's how the game is. You know, some of them like some people actually want to kill them, but a lot of people like they would rob from each other and they were still cool. You know what I mean? They'd still be talking to each other and shit like that. And it was basically like, all right, you rob me right now, and then next time I'm gonna rob you. Not like a word for word thing, but it was like, you know what I mean? Like something like that.
Yeah.
So eventually one of my friends calls them and he's like, hey, can you guys go get, you know, these guys are they took some of my shit and they didn't pay me. So at this point, I'm not looking at it as robbing. I'm looking at it as, okay, my friend, you know, like a mission for them, for, you know, for these fools. So we go and start doing shit, you know, we start getting into like our fair share of licks, you know, we start getting people and stuff and robbing. I didn't really like it, bro. To be honest, I only did it like 3 times. But I was really broke and I was really in need of some money. But after I did it, it didn't feel good. You know, even I mean, I've done some other shit that you should be like, bro, you did that and you have a problem with this. But this didn't, I've never liked to steal, you know, I've never been the robber type. So eventually I started feeling that kind of like, you know, I don't want to have that shit on my resume, you know, like robbing and
What
shit.
kind of other shit did you do that was worse than that?
It's just some shit I've witnessed and shit I've seen in Mexico, man. In Mexico, like, you see people getting shot. You see people getting the tablazos. You see people...
Yeah, we got off that. You were explaining that, and I was telling you, Louise told me that. You never actually explained what happens with the top. I was
trying to see if I could find...
he can Google it. What's it? How do you say it?
Can you Google... How can you Google this? Probably La Tabla, I would say. La Tabla.
La Tabla.
Culiacan. Or Cartel. Yeah, it's just keywords.
Cartel, La Tabla. I'm sure we'll find it. Yeah. La Tabla for La Cartel.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they use this to discipline people. They there's this corrido singer. There's this singer that he sung a song with about somebody, and he didn't ask permission. So the guy got offended, called the guy in. Shit, I was about to say something real specific. So the guy, he has you know how people use code names over there?
Yeah.
And it's usually numbers. So this guy, the guy that was offended, he has a certain number.
Okay.
So he gave him that certain, let's say 50. You know, that's too many, but let's say just 50, you know? Let's say his code name is 50, so he gave him 50 tablazos. And it's you either like put your hands on the table, whatever, ass out.
You get a spanking?
And you get the spanking, and people shit themselves. You know, you can't sit because you don't get like a small spanking, bro. It's this 4x4 tabla, and they're just laying it onto you like if you know, like if you just diss their mother type thing. If there's videos, I mean, I don't know, I'm sure you can show that on YouTube.
Shit.
But if you want to see it, there's videos of people getting the tabla.
So it looks like a 2x4?
It looks like what are these? What's this sport?
Like one of these. Like one of these. This table's made out of.
Yeah, kind of like this. Probably even thicker.
These
but
are
yeah,
6x5s.
with a handle on the edge, so you can hold it, right? You know, so when you're hitting them, it doesn't, you know. And yeah, it depends what kind of discipline you're getting, the number of tablazos you're getting. And that's really common, bro, because people tend to fuck up a lot. You know, the watch outs, the halcones, the punteros, the guys in the motorcycle that are watching out for the...
Yeah.
Well, if military came in and you didn't see them and you didn't let people know on the radio, you're going to meet the tabla, bro. Yeah, you're a singer. If you sing without authorization about somebody.
Does that shit break bones?
Nope. But it leaves your ass black. It leaves your butt cheeks black.
Oh no, this is a video. Turn it. Don't.
Oh, he just got the tabla. Yeah, he just got it.
Want me to show it?
Oh yeah, the whole back. No, don't show it. The
He just
whole
got it.
back of him is completely black and blue.
Well, there's videos of people getting it. Like that's the aftermath.
You can't find a picture of what this thing looks like. The Tabla.
It shows a song.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a famous corrido. It's a really famous corrido, and it's called the Tabla, and it's like a warning to people. Like, what does it say? It just say like those who are like stepping out of line, you're gonna be the Tabla.
And these guys who are getting the Tabla, they'll willingly just accept it. Like, I gotta go through this.
Yeah, well, if you say no, well,
You're dead.
yeah, most likely.
God.
So it's like, look, you fucked up, right? We get it. You're gonna get the Tabla, but then you get to go home and rest and recover. Or you could get this bullet in the head and not go home for, you know?
Yeah.
But
So how did you get into bringing weed back into Tijuana from San Diego?
well, because I'm a stoner first and foremost. I'm a pothead
Yeah,
myself.
you would think they would have plenty of weed down there.
They got Reggie.
Okay.
And remember, I'm going to school in San Diego. So in San Diego, they're smoking that back then, that skunk diesel, that White Widow, that OG Kush, you know? And back then, you know, the famous song, I got 5 on it because 4 of your friends would put $5 on it, get a gram, and then get somebody to buy you a Swisher. And you smoke the whole thing by 4 dudes, you know? So I just started buying like little grams and eighths. Well, at this point, I was working. I got a job. I got a legal job in San Diego. I got a girl. I'm living with my girl. I'm trying to do right now. You know, but I want to make a little bit extra money. You know, I want to quit my job because I'm out of probation at this time. Dude, the day the probation called me, he's like, look, bro, you've been doing, just for close this up. I go to jail for 4 months. I meet a bunch of people, and then I go to the halfway house. I meet more people. One of them I'm going to talk about right now. But I only stayed there for 3 months because I got kicked out. We're just so bored, and we're just so like full of like energy stuff. We just started like checking each other. First, it was like all the people from Tijuana, like, hey, everybody gotta be on their shit. And if you're not on your shit, like we just started beating everybody up. Not beating, but like body shots. Just because we were bored, and it was, most of us were like on our 20s. It wasn't like really older people. Like it was a bunch of 20-year-olds. So we're just full of fucking energy and shit like that. And we're just with other criminals and shit, you know? So we just started getting in trouble with like playing body shots. But we started playing like, it wasn't friendly body shots, you know? And I was all like, I have fucking bruises and shit. We left other people bruised up and shit. So one day the guards see that one of the guys is all bruised up, kind of like the guy with the tabla.
Oh
yeah,
God.
there it is.
I found a real.
All right, play it. Don't. We're just gonna react to it. Don't put the video on.
Yeah, he's about to, you see?
Oh shit! It's just like a big paddle, giant paddle.
Yeah, that's the word. Paddle. That's the word I was looking for. My bad.
Yeah, but they just.
God damn, bro.
Yeah, if you move like that, yeah, he only got 2. Yeah, he's lucky.
I think they do another person or something.
All right, I get it. I see what it is.
Yeah.
Luis said he was gonna bring one next time he comes here, so I can have it and like put it on display in the background.
Yeah, you should.
That'd be cool. Or I'll put it on the shelf.
Yeah, well, he was about to meet you. Talking about the
What?
Oh, Luis, he was about to meet the. That's what
He was about to meet the tabla.
Well, if he
if he
would have been
would've-
caught, or you know, he did the dispensaries thing, and they
Yeah.
So yeah, man, he should be careful, man, because it's small stuff that are not gonna get him killed, but it's enough to give you some tablazos. You know what I mean? Like, they know, like, you could go to the police, but like they didn't kill you, so they're not gonna make a big deal out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that dispensary story with him was crazy because the dude he was talking to,
He kind of backed out of like the.
yeah, like he was already like balls deep into the story with him, and like he was letting him in. And he wanted to, but the guy wanted to let Luis in and tell the story, but he didn't want to give him too much. Pardon this brief interruption, but I want to take a second to talk about our sponsor, Verso. Now, if you've heard this podcast before, chances are you already know how obsessed I am with health and longevity, which is why one of my favorite guests to have on the show is nutritional scientist and neuroscientist Dr. Dom D'Agostino, who actually introduced me to this stuff. Verso is a company that is dedicated to translating scientific breakthroughs into products that hold the potential to increase longevity. The problem with aging is we accumulate these zombie cells, or old damaged cells, that linger beyond their useful life. These zombie cells infect other healthy cells, speeding up the aging process, causing things like hair loss, wrinkles, arthritis, cancer, dementia, and everything in the realm of aging. What scientists have realized is that we can manually induce autophagy, meaning the cleanup process of the old zombie cells and replacing them with new ones. Verso's new Clean Being, which I take every night, is a powerful blend of senolytic molecules that help promote the body's natural cleanup processes like autophagy and apoptosis, promoting better cellular health, supporting lower inflammation and natural cardioprotective functions, while boosting protection against age-related diseases. The three main ingredients in Clean Being are spermidine, luteolin, and dihydroquercetin, which play key roles in the control of gene expression and are essential for cell growth and proliferation, specifically when it comes to cardiovascular and cognitive function, skin health, vision, and the immune system. Head on over to ver.so and use the coupon code CONCRETE at checkout to save 15% on your order. I linked it all below. Now back to the show.
Yeah, well,
So it was
he
kinda like
wanted to keep the names out of it, but
Yeah.
Luis was going in for the names. I mean, what's the
Right.
point of talking about dispenser if you're not going to talk about who owns it? You know what I mean? And I get his point, and I also get the other guy's point too.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be that guy. That's why I talked to my friends, be like, "Hey, can I say this shit? And can I
Yeah.
say this? Can I say that?" Because I mean, I'm not gonna change this, bro. Even if I were to like turn like full on snitch or whatever, and like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna change anything. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to, but I'm not helping them either. You know, I'm not doing anything bad. I'm just staying on my way and anything. But at the same time, they're still my friends, and the people that are not, I don't want to cause them any trouble. I don't want to get in their way at all. Like I don't want to cause them trouble, or I want to help them. It's just what's up, like neighbors. You know what I mean? Like you know, just say what's up to them and keep it cool, and everybody goes on their way.
It's crazy watching like the history of Mexico and how the cartels became cartels, you know, from the day of the plazas to the Jalisco or to the Guadalajara cartel, and then that being broken up into all, you know, the main cartels you see in Mexico right now. And it's wild to think about, like what is going to happen in the next decade. I wonder. Do you ever think about that?
Yeah, always. Yeah, especially because, yeah, well, right now I don't really go to TJ because it's a full on war right now. And yeah, if you're like a what they call out here like a civilian, if you don't have nothing to do, well, yeah, you might be pulled over for whatever reason sometimes, but you're not gonna get in any trouble. But now it's to a point where like you get pulled over and everybody's a suspect. It's just the war has gone so bad that like
Everybody's
like,
paranoid.
Yeah, no, well, like I was telling you, the cops are paranoid. I mean, they've arrested all kinds of people that look all sorts of ways. So it's not like they're looking for the people that look dressed or type of way. They're just going on for anybody. You know, they've arrested girls with their kids. You know, they arrested mothers. They've arrested all kinds of. So it's just like everybody's a suspect, but it creates this tension where like the cops are not nice at all, bro. Especially.
That's a good thing to explain right now. What is the dynamic between the cops in Tijuana and the cartel? There's one cartel in Tijuana right now.
No, there's three.
There's three cartels in Tijuana.
Well, kind of four with the police, but yeah, let's say three.
There's
three. There's three.
So there's three different cartels in Tijuana.
Guadalajara, Sinaloa, and Tijuana. But it's funny because they all branched out from the original Tijuana cartel. Once the original leaders started getting arrested, killed and stuff, everybody just started finding other ways, because the thing is with the Tijuana cartel it was based on the family, the Arellano Felix.
Right.
So when the Arellano Felix didn't when it's a big family, what I understand, and not everybody is involved, but when the guys that were involved either got arrested or killed,
Arellano Felix, for people that don't know who Arellano Felix is, he was one of the main founders of the Tijuana cartel.
They're brothers.
The two brothers.
Yeah, well, there's a bunch of brothers, but only like 4 of them were involved with the cartel. But I believe there's like 8. And there's a picture. I don't know if you want to put. There's a picture of the whole family.
Who was the brother that was on the David Letterman show? That they like.
Ramon Arellano.
He
was the violent one.
You
got Benjamin, which is the brains, and you also violent, but it's mostly the brains. And you got Ramon, which is just like the general.
He was the killer.
Yeah,
he was the guy they started filming.
Yeah, but they all had I think we're getting into all these different.
I know, yeah.
But the thing with them is they were mostly rich families, so they all could cross to the U.S. before they were even criminals. So they would come and go to L.A. And I guess one day he was in where they filmed it.
I think that was in L.A.
L.A. Yeah, in L.A. And you could see well, if you don't know him, you can't tell, but you can see he's kind of trying to like what do you call it? Like wear like a costume type thing, like because
the
he has
disguise.
like
It's the
disguise.
terrible disguise.
Yeah, and but to the production guys, it's funny to them because he looks kind of funny.
Yeah.
So they keep putting the camera on. He's like, nah, no hablo español. He's like, he's probably thinking about shooting them if he was in Mexico. Because he has that reputation of shooting people in the face. Like there's this story where he's getting out of a club or something, and he's like on the street and he's drinking and he's talking to a girl. So eventually a cop comes up to him. He's like, hey, you can't be drinking on the street, and he just pulls out a gun and shoots him in the face. And that's how much power they had. He just drove off from that and nothing happened. So I'm guessing at that point where the David Letterman guy is like putting the camera on his face and he's like, no hablo español. He's like trying to get him to like.
And he had that like fanny pack around his
Yeah,
shoulder.
that everybody wears. So he's like, no hablo español.
There it is. Oh my God. He looks like Tim Dillon.
And yeah, man, I mean, you'll be right next to him in LA and waiting for the light to change and you wouldn't even know. And that's really the dynamic in TJ. There's another really famous comedian YouTuber out there. His name is Adrian Marcelo. Shout out to him. He came a couple times to TJ for presentations, but he's kind of like interested a little bit because he hears the news and so he's curious. He asks about stuff. So last time he came, he spent the weekend there, and on his last day, I was like, so how was it? Did you feel like unsafe or anything, whatever? Or did you feel? He was like, nah, man, not at all. And I pulled up a news story, and it was like 16 people died this weekend, bro. And it was like a high for Mexico, still like a high number for a weekend, for a 3-day weekend.
16.
I told him 16 people got killed in TJ while you were here, and you didn't even feel like nothing, And that's the dynamic, and like all this shit is going on, but if you're like on your thing, like you might not even know,
Right. Now is TJ is it so violent in Tijuana because all the cartels south of there have to travel through Tijuana to get to the US?
Yeah, I talked to one of my friends. The difference between like let's say Sinaloa, their history with like the narcos is usually because people don't have opportunities. They live in rural areas, the country, the government doesn't give a fuck about them. Some of these people don't have lights, they don't have shit like that. So they come out of that and they grow, they get into the business, for bettering their lives. But in TJ, the people that get into the business in TJ, we got opportunities, bro. Like people from the South come to TJ to find jobs or to work. So like, people over here, we do it because we like it. It's more like the thrill of it, like also this culture from. I was telling my friends from Nuevo León over there like Juarez, like Luis. He gets all this like Texas thing. It drips down to Juarez, but us, we get LA, so we get this gang culture also. So you see like the low riding culture is pretty popular in Tijuana. Like so all this stuff that just fucking boils down to like this American culture just boils down to us. So this gang culture is really settled in. That's why I say we were the tag bangers. We did graffiti, but we like the like gang banging thing because we listen to like NWA or like gangster rap, West Coast music. So we grew up on that, and then you mix it with like all these traffickers and their gang life, and it just becomes a whole another thing, So that's the difference between this like people in the South and the people in TJ, and that's why it's more violent, because that's what I was saying with the Arellano Felix. Most of them, and they actually had a group of their cartel that was called the Narco Juniors, and it was this people. It was this guys. The wealthiest families of TJ and San Diego, their sons just became members of the cartel. So that's like I was saying, like in the South, you got these people like doing it for for looking for opportunity, lack of opportunities.
Right.
But over here, you got like literally these guys like sons of like neurosurgeons and like all these important people. They're like the wealthiest kids, bro, and they're like with Ramon and them like killing people, and like they're actually like if you make it seem like characters of a movie, they actually were like the real deal because they had money and they had everything, but they did the shit themselves. Like they were the sicarios, like they had sicarios, but they were doing shit themselves. They were doing it for the thrill, you know what I mean? They were doing it for just to leave, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Narco Juniors, they really left a legacy because it was these really rich kids that were cartel bosses. So that's like like 25 years ago. So now you got this new generation of Tijuana cartel. And the day you called me, like I said, I was talking to one of them, and I was like, hey, so they want to ask me in this podcast about like, what's up, about the life and shit. And I thought they were going to be like, nah, keep it low key, don't say much, whatever. Bro, they're like, nah, tell them we're the shit. Tell them like, yeah, there's all the cartels, but we're the ones, like, tell them we're the new Narco Juniors. Tell him if he knows about back then. Well, we're the new Narco Juniors, and he show him this Narco Corrido. Like I'm like, I'm not gonna play him no songs, bro, but I'm gonna tell him, like, I'm gonna let him know. So, and I mean, these new Narco Juniors, you look at them and they're like, they're wearing like, they look like rappers, they're wearing like fucking $50,000 outfits with like their chains and like fucking expensive shoes. They go to Dubai and like for fucking 2 weeks. You see them in Lambos, you see them buying expensive shit, like taking tours in helicopters, like and they're not past their 25 probably, and I know some of them because they're the little brothers of my generation of friends. Their little brothers now grew up, and now they're like, hey, I remember you used to be like, and I'm like, oh, damn, that's you. And I see them like all, like all with like fucking all Gucci'd out and all shit, and we're at a private party with like all kinds of like shit, and now they're like the head of the cartel. He's looking out for them because their brother was like a really he was respected in the cartel. He got shot, he got killed, and now the guy that the boss, he just looked out for them. He's looking out for them in a way, just giving them easy jobs and stuff like that, way to make money and enjoy life, because they can travel, they can go to like Dubai and Colombia and stuff like that, because they're not looking for them, they're not wanted yet and stuff like that, because they're young. Some of them are like 21, 22, you know what I mean? They're barely starting and they're already living, and that's why they tell me, they're like, tell them we're the new Narco Juniors. And if you see the Narco series, Bad Bunny plays one of the most famous Narco Juniors. He plays the one that became a snitch, though. Well, that's really? Yeah. He's not, because a lot of Narco Juniors, they went back, bro. When they got out of jail, they went back.
Really?
Some of them went back, and so a lot of them, like they turned, like the one that Bad Bunny plays. They never seen him again. Well, I'm pretty sure like the families, because they it's like a mafia thing. It's like their families are, like I'm compadre to your kids and stuff like that. So they call each other family. Everybody calls each other uncle, tío. Hey, that's my tío this, my tío that. So now it's a generation of them, a new generation that, like I said, this is 20, 25 years ago. Most of these people get like 25 years in jail, but with good time, they get out in like 20. So some of them are out, and yeah, I don't want to say much more about them because they didn't let me talk about them. But yeah, some of them are out, and their kids are like, are following the same steps.
So we kind of like got distracted, but the main dynamic in Tijuana is you said 4, but there's 3 main cartels there. Yeah,
we just say 4 because the cops sometimes act like a cartel of their own.
So my question was like, what is the dynamic with the cops and the cartels there?
Well,
what percentage of the cops are bought off by the cartels and just working with them and communicating with them? And how many of them are just like rogue, completely against the cartels?
Completely against, I would say it's, I don't know. I want to say half.
Really?
I think I'm just trying to be fair because I know there's a lot of good cops. I actually know a couple of cops that are not that corrupt. Like they will take your $20 if you ran over a red light type thing, but they won't kidnap you or they won't, they won't like do shit like that.
So you'd say half of the cops in Tijuana?
Maybe. I want to say something like that. Oh shit! I want to say more, but I want to be fair. Like I don't want to talk out of ignorance.
Right.
But I'd probably say more, man. I mean,
wow.
Because just the shit that I've seen, like I don't want to diss them. My respects to all the police corporations over there, but yeah, man, sometimes they don't give a fuck. Like they be ruthless. Like.
And do they work for all the cartels?
Well, they kind of have to be honest. Like, but different sections though. Like, I'm trying to find a way to break this down. Like, let's say one cartel had bought off the homicide department, and let's say the other cartel has bought off the what do you call it? When you sell drugs, but it's not in a big scale, but in a lower scale.
Narcotics?
Yeah, when it's like narcotics, like they have bought off like different sections of the police type thing, different cartels.
got
You
it.
know what I mean?
Okay,
So
yeah.
it's not like back then where you just showed up and you bought the commander or the captain and like now the whole police was at your service.
Mhm.
No, now it's like some people work for these guys, some guys work for these guys.
Right.
And actually right now they're actually fighting amongst each other. Right now, actually, oh, I remember this. I was showing Luis a news story. They're having, eventually it was gonna happen because they're serving a lot of people. They're fighting each other because they act like cartels sometimes, bro. They've arrested cops. And this is public news. They arrested cops like trying to sell weed that they confiscated. Not weed, I mean drugs that they confiscated. Mostly meth and cocaine, or fentanyl, like the pills. But yeah, they've actually caught like other like police have caught other police trying to sell the shit that they confiscated. And because like they go and confiscate like, let's say like 50 keys of cocaine from a certain cartel. And if the cops go and present it to like the authorities and do the right thing, like the cartel won't even trip. But if they don't find out anything about the shipment and it's just lost, well then that means the fool stole it. So now it's personal, so now you see this what do you call it, like when they leave signs and messages on the bridges and stuff like, hey, comandante, whatever, you took this shit from us, you better either sell it back or give it back or because one thing is getting confiscated and doing your job and presenting it, and one thing is you stealing it from them. That's not a police job, so they've been having a lot of trouble with that now it's even like, it used to be like the guys that they were robbing against the police, but now it's like other police against themselves. They have this really famous group in Facebook where they're actually looking for they just post every time they see the state police, because they've been getting this really infamous, or what do you call it, when it's a bad rep of just kidnapping innocent people. Now they used to do it to like
the state police.
Yeah, they used to do it to like criminals. They used to like, if you're cartel, oh yeah, we got some money from you, all right, we're gonna let you go, but we're gonna keep this $50,000. And as a criminal, you're like, all right, cool, fuck
Right.
it, you know the drill, what's up. But there's been news coming out where they've been doing it to like regular businessmen. You don't have nothing to do, but they see that you have money, they can get a quick 10,000 from you. They might be like, you better give up this money, or we're gonna present you to the judge with like, I don't know, the fentanyl or something, and they're gonna say that they caught you with it. And even though you can prove that they didn't, it's gonna take months for you to prove that, which months that you're gonna do in prison. So you don't want to do that, you know what I mean? So if you have the $10,000, it's like a kidnapping, it's just like a kidnapping.
Yeah.
So they've been really having bad rep because of that. Now they created a famous, a Facebook group, and it's not even cartel people; it's civilians in this group, and it's like people just reporting on them. Hey, they pulled over this car. If anybody of you is like, if you know them, whatever, they've had them there for like about an hour. And there's this other thing. It's illegal to check your cell phones, for the police to check your cell phones, but they don't give a fuck. That's the first thing they when they pull you over, that's the first thing they ask for.
Really?
Yeah, they take your phone. If it's locked, you better unlock it.
And what are they looking for in your phone?
They look for the pictures. They look for the messages. They look for your notes. They look for everything. Like if you have, there's been times where there's like girls who were like, hey, I have like intimate pictures. And be like, I don't care. Better unlock your phone right now. And one of my friends once said, I can't unlock it. Bam! Are you sure? All right. Unlocked it. And I think anybody, you go to their phone, you're gonna find something suspicious, man. Even if you're innocent, you know what I mean? I believe that anybody has because there's always this talk. Like I got in trouble once because I had some of my friends, they were like, hey, what's up? Where's the weed at? They just wanted to smoke. And he was like, hey, why is he asking you for weed? Do you sell weed? And I did sell weed, but I didn't have proof that I sold it. So I was like, nah, man, I'm just a stoner. I was like, we smoke joints. I don't drink. I was like, it's like if your homie calls you and he's like, hey, let's drink a 6-pack. I don't drink 6-packs. I smoke joints. So my friends call me to smoke. So I that's how they got off with that one. But there's been times where I haven't gotten off, and I've met, I've been through that drill, the bag over your head drill, tied up behind a police car.
How long ago did this
in the middle
happen?
of nowhere. Pretty let's say about 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah, I was in, like I said, I've been trying to stay away of the whole thing, but this this thing that came. There's this white guy, like ex-military, and he gets a bunch of guns, and he sends them to TJ. And I bought one for him one time, but it was just for me, for my house, because you're in TJ, you know what I mean? Like there's people like bringing in your houses, maybe, or such, whatever reason. I just, you feel safer. I'm pro guns, so I'm like, I just had it in my house.
How could you not be?
But once I bought that one of them, I bought that one gun. My friend's like, hey, where'd you get that gun? I was like, oh, this white guy has them. He's like, oh, you think you could give me one? I was like, yeah, for sure. So I
American guy?
He was ex-military. He goes to these gun shows or game, where they do like expos and stuff, and you get cheap. He has like a membership. They do he's like a very well-known buyer, so he gets a bunch of guns, and he used to sell them and like get them in Mexico and stuff because they're clean guns. So like I got one for myself just to keep in my house. My friend wanted one for himself just to keep in the house. But my friend's friend, he wanted 3. So I was like, yeah, he has them. Like for me, it was like, yeah, he's right there. So he bought 3, and then he bought like another 3. And then he bought like 4. And then he bought like 2 AKs and stuff like that. And I kept being the middleman because I was making like a few bucks on the side. But sometimes I didn't even see the guns because they had their thing going. Like they know who pick it up, whatever. So my friend just got the money to me. So I get pulled over and I have all these messages with pictures of guns and prices and the people I'm selling them to and shit like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, they're like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? Like I said, sometimes they get innocent people, but this time I was fucking up. I understand, I recognize I was fucking up. But on my mind, it was just something like, it wasn't that big of a deal until I was with the cops.
So you got pulled over and then...
No, it's some fucking bullshit story. I've always been really careful, bro. Really careful. Like my house never got raided because of shit I've done. Like I've always stayed, like I've never been arrested in Mexico or anything. I was arrested over here, but it's American and I was crossing shit and I was young. But after that little trouble stuff, I've never been in trouble again. I've never been arrested, even though I kind of like fucked up sometimes. I've gotten away with shit like that. So at this point, I was doing that shit and I'm in TJ and my friend's like, hey, let's go to the swap meet. I gotta buy this computer. So I'm like, all right, let's go. I just rented a new house and I have no furniture and I only had like my bed, I think. So I didn't want to stay in there. I didn't even have Wi-Fi. So I was like, I'll go with you. Because he was like, wait for me here. I was like, nah, I'll go with you. So he's using an Uber to maneuver around because that used to be the easiest way to move around because you don't get pulled over. If they see it's an Uber, they're like, it's like whatever. You sit in the back. The guy has the Uber application on his phone, so it looks pretty clean. So we move around like that. We get to the swap meet.
God, I can imagine being a fucking Uber driver in Tijuana,
bro. Them Uber drivers be moving stuff, some knowing and some not knowing, because I've been in the Ubers with like my backpack full of like 2 or 3 pounds of weed and like edibles and just all kinds of dispensary shit, and they don't even know. So, yeah, we go to the swap meet. Just to give you a little context, there's been reports of like extortion going on in swap meets, or like they like little little shops. What do you call it in swap meets? Like the little different types of shops. Some of them sell drugs, or some of them are being extorted. So we're not there to extort nobody. We're not there to sell anything. We're just there to pay for a computer that my friend bought for his kid that he's learning how to stream. But as you can see, I look like a fucking Mario Salvatrucha with all my tattoos and shit like that. So I'm just like, I got sweats and I'm like, I just got out the house. So I'm not even dressed like, I'm like got sweats or whatever. And my friend is like, he's dressed well. So if you put us together, it kind of looked like some cartel shit going on. He's all well dressed. He has a cholo with him, all tatted out. Like, and they always say this. He's like, yeah, you're the hitman and he's the boss. And I'm like, no. Like, we're whatever. We're different. So we pulled up to the shop with the computer, and then while he's doing the business, they're showing him the computer, the shit that it has, and he busts out the money. It's like $1,000 to pay for it, but he has like 3,000. And then all of a sudden I hear a cop coming by because I'm just like on my phone, like right outside the little shop on the alley, and then the cop comes and I just see him like staring around and looking at me. He's all fat and like he looked more like a mall security. So I see him and I'm like, whatever. He's like, everything good? I was like, yeah. Why wouldn't we, So I just keep minding my own. And then I hear all kinds of radios and walkie-talkies and keys. And I look to my right and 4 or 5 cops just coming our way. At this point, I'm like, I'm the only suspect in here. Like, there's no way they're coming for somebody else. So my friend's dealing with the stuff with the computer. So they just come, grab me and throw me in the the metal curtain that they used to close it. The other shop was closed. They just threw me against that shit. And I was like, hey, bro, you're tripping. Like, I don't have shit on me. Like, what are you doing? He's like, nah, shut the fuck up. They just came. Bro. Even the guy that was selling us the computer was like, hey, they're just buyers. And they were like, yeah, shut the fuck up. You shut the fuck up, whatever. So they didn't even ask us anything. They handcuffed me and my friend. They let the Uber go. We don't know if he's the one that you know, like that said something for us to set us up or something. So we're going to the they're taking us out the SWAT meet, going to the patrol car. They use pickups over there. So I'm like, these are stupid. We only have like a vape pen. Like, what the fuck are they? Because they're local police too. They're not state police. I'm scared of the state police. So if they're local police, I'm like, oh, these dudes, like, they're cooler, you know, they're more understandable. I thought they're more like, they're not that mean. So I'm like, they're probably going to take us to they probably want money. At first I'm like, they probably want like $50 or something because we got a vape pen, and they're going to threaten us to, you know, take us to the judge if we don't give them some money. So, you know, I'm thinking this is going to happen. But the guy takes our phones and puts handcuffs us and throws us in the pickup truck, but in the back, like in the bed, and just facing down. And at that point, I'm like, all right, this is not like I've been I've been through that shit a bunch of times since I was a kid. A bunch of times. I have runs with the cops lots more than 100 times probably, and I know this is not one of the regular shit. So we're riding on the back of the car, and I kind of know where we are. It's like the other side of the city I grew up, but I kind of know where I am because I had a girlfriend over there. So I literally see we drive past the police station. And at this point, I was like, whoa, what the hell is going on? And some months back or something, I have some friends that were beefing with a cartel that is from the area that they were taking me. So I'm like, oh, they probably think that they probably think I'm associated with so-and-so, and they're beefing, and they're taking me over here. So I'm like, oh, man, like, you know, this is not good at all. So yeah, man, we go up a hill, and it's like dirt road and stuff, like just fucking, you could barely hear like cars and like people. And they park. Cop gets off, and he starts talking to us like, come on, just tell me who you guys are. Tell me what you guys do, and we'll see how we can help you. And we're like, what are you talking about? Like, you didn't catch us doing anything. Like, there's nothing you can catch us with. Like, we just had a pen. And my friend, I had like $300 on me. My friend had the money he was going to pay a computer. So he's like, bro, I'll give you the computer money. Just let me go. If it's for the wax pen, like I don't want, just let me go. Like, you know?
Yeah.
But at this point, my friend was he's active. The friend I was with, he works for the Sinaloa, and he was active. He is active. So he starts getting messages because he was, well, what I mean when he's active, because I don't want to get, there's all sorts of branches in the cartel. He's in charge of like setting up cars to cross the border.
Okay.
You know, he doesn't sell over here. He doesn't do anything, and he just sets up cars over there, and like that's his thing, you know. He's like the, what do you call it? Like the freight or like the U-Haul type thing. Yeah, like the U-Haul.
Transportation.
Yeah. So he started getting messages of like some transportation shit he was doing right now. I didn't know because I'm not like asking like, hey, so what you doing around? Like, how many?
Right.
You know, I don't care. Like, it's just regular shit.
Right.
So I just see him. He's working, whatever. So he started getting messages, and the cops start seeing it, and he starts like, nah, you guys are not nobodies. Like, tell me what you guys do.
And they have his phone. When
they
he's
got
getting
both of
messages?
our phones,
Okay.
and they haven't unblocked them yet. They just seeing the tabs on the
shit.
But just from the tabs, he could see what the fuck was going on.
Right.
So he's like, come on, tell me. And then they have us like on our knees on the bed of the pickup truck.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of like face to face with him. Oh shit. And he since they found his messages first, they're like unblock it, and he has that face unblock
Face
it.
ID.
So yeah, but the sun was hitting him on his face, so he kept going like, oh, it's not working. Bam, just fucking a right hook. You sure it's not working? Come on, like, and before
Punching
going
him in the face.
yeah, he was just plugging him in the face. But and then my friend was like, before he unblocked, he was like, come on, man, help me out. I give you $1,000. You didn't catch me with anything. Why do you want to go through my phone? At this point, the cop's like, now I want to go through your phone. So we have to unblock our phones. Mine's digital, so they just put the fucking thumbprint, and that was a wrap. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I'm always careful. I was always erasing my messages, keeping everything clean. That's why I got pulled over a few months before, and I got away like clean because I didn't have anything on my phone. They went through my phone, and I didn't have anything. But all this stuff that I was doing was like two days prior type thing, and I was busy like going and coming and going to San Diego. So in San Diego, I don't have to worry about erasing messages. So somehow they were still there. But it was funny because after this, everybody was telling me, "Bro, you're always erasing messages. Yeah, like you literally forget what we're talking about because you erased the messages and pictures. How the fuck did they get you?" And I was like, "Bro, we all have our fucking 5 minutes of stupidity, bro. Like everybody, like there's no way you're gonna be. I mean, I've been in this." And I've never had something like this happen to me where I've done some like really big shit and stuff. And this is the first time. And I think I got away pretty lucky after this. Well, let me finish the story. So yeah, man, they start finding everything. And by this time, the local cops don't want nothing to do with us. They're like, "Oh, you know what? They put me back in handcuffs." And they're like, and we're like, "So what's going to happen?" And they're like, "Oh, no, you'll see what's going to happen." And at this point, I'm like, "Oh, I'm dead." Like, if they don't want to take the money, they don't want to do like, what the fuck? We're dead, you know?
Why would they want to kill you though?
Because I thought they were working for the cartel that's beefing with my friend's cartel. So I'm thinking there's some sort of confusion because
you thought that they knew that.
Yeah, because they took me to that area. The way it works over there, it's like certain sections, you know, like I'm by the beach. So most of the part by the beach is run by one people, and then next to the beach is by other people.
Okay.
And then over there away from like to the east is like other people. So like let's say the guys from the beach are beefing with the guys from the east. And I'm over there, and then all of a sudden they start taking me to like their main area, you know, like, so I'm like, oh fuck. And like I said, so like a few weeks before this, something big happened between them. And with people that I know, people from both sides. So like at this point, like my conscience is just betraying me. I'm like, oh fuck, these guys think I'm in the middle of this or something.
Right.
And he didn't take the $1,000. He didn't arrest us. I'm like, what the fuck? You know, what else does he want? Like, everybody would take $1,000 just for a wax pen. Like, any cop would take them. You know what I mean? So he just left us there, like, tied up in the back of the car for 30 minutes. I know this because my Google Maps, my locations is on. So afterwards, I looked at all the places I've been because they took me to, like, different places. And it tells you how long you were there. So I was there for, like, 30 minutes. The longest of my life, bro, to be honest. The longest. I was just thinking, I was, what do you call it? Like, when you like just accept the situation, I was like, I'm gonna die like right now. Like they're gonna shoot me like, and then I just started thinking like,
you had accepted it?
Yeah, I was just making my mind up like, well, just for a little. I've always had this thing with death. Like I've always had like, you know, like I was trying to like understand it. Like I always had a problem. Like every time somebody dies, it just hurts me a lot, you know. So I started working with therapy and stuff like that. Just kind of like accept it somehow, like, you know, but it kind of helped me because it changed the way I lived. Like that's one of the things that made me want to get away with it, get away from all the stuff, because I was like, I don't want my mom to remember me as this cartel friends guy that always did stupid shit, you know. So I just went through a lot of shit like that. And at this point, I feel like I've changed. Like I've done the music thing. I've been with the music. We made it big with the music. My friends, he went like for like star famous, and I just keep working. I manage a group of rappers, the Poco Locos Collective. I do my writing. I started a podcast. So I'm doing my other stuff. So at this point, I'm thinking I'm gonna die, and I'm like, well, you know what, man? At least my mom's gonna be like, well, at least he had a chance to fucking change. You know, at least I got a chance to see him in a different face. You know,
yeah.
Because if I would have died on my 20s, they would have just remembered me as this fucking, oh yeah, he just fucking was up to no good, all this shit. But now I was like thinking, if I die now, it's gonna be a whole different perspective of me. You know what I mean? Even my shit's gonna be viral. You know, even my social media stuff, they're gonna be like, oh, because I'm pretty well known out there. And among some famous people and the streets. So you
started like thinking about how you'd be remembered.
Yeah, I just started accepting it. I was like, well, at least fucking, you know. And then it got to a place where I was just so calm, like so calm. I was impressed of how calm I was, knowing or thinking that I was gonna die, because my friend was shit scared, bro. He was like, "What do you think's gonna happen to us, bro?" I didn't even want to tell him. I was like, "You don't want to know what I'm thinking, bro. Like, they're calling somebody else to pick us up. I don't know who, because that's what I heard."
It's crazy that this guy was more freaked out and he's actually active cartel.
He's like, yeah. So 30 minutes go by, which seemed like 2 or 3 hours, and we start hearing these tires again. It's a dirt road, so we hear like, and then we hear doors open. The cops get out of the car too.
So you guys are at this point, you guys are face down, just in the back of the truck.
Yeah, we're face down, tied up in the truck. And I'm wearing yellow sweatpants, so I hear the local cops tell the state cops, the one in yellow, not in the face, because he's a U.S. They said that in Spanish, but this basically they said don't hit him in the face because he's a U.S. citizen. They found my passport. So at this point, I was like, all right, I'm getting in the body and we're getting hit. That's one thing I know for certain. They didn't say nothing about. I mean, they wouldn't be worried about hitting me in the face if I was gonna die. So at this point, death is kind of like a little bit out the way, but still not much. But by the things that I kind of put together, I was like, okay, they're beating us up for something.
I thought when you said in the face, I thought you were meaning like shot
No,
in the face.
they meant don't hit them in the face.
Got it.
So that's when I was like, okay, death is not what's next. Maybe it is, but not right now. So right now is the beating, which is kind of weird. Like shit, man. I mean, the shot to the head would be, but you don't know what you're getting. So yeah, they just come over, they pull the door down of the bed of the truck, and we face up like this, because we're all tied up, and we're all scared and shit. So they look at us, and at this point, I know who it is because I see the state police uniform and the patrol, and they see my friend, and they're like, and I don't think he meant it. He just wanted to hit him to make us know that they were for real because they didn't hit me in the face, and my face was the only thing available. So they looked at my friend. He's like, I've gotten you before. Bam, bam, and they gave him a quick 1-2. And my friend's like, nah, I never been there. Shut the fuck up. Bam, bam. So they just drag us out the pickup truck. I barely stand on my feet because I had hurt my leg. I was doing a mural and I almost fell off the stairs. So I landed a little bit back. So I was limping. So I was fucking trying to get in the other car that they were taking us to. They put us in the other patrol car. Now they put us inside, not in the bed of the car. They put us inside, but with my head in between my knees. And they just lifted up the handcuffs in the back. So we're literally like, can't see shit. And they just keep hitting us on the way. It's 3 cops. It's one next to me. It's in the back seat. It's my friend, me, and a cop, and 2 guys in the front, the driver and the boss. The boss was the co-pilot. I don't know if he was like a commander or something, but they kept calling him, hey, comandante. That was the guy doing the orders. And they take us to another place. And they put me back in the back of the truck, and they just interrogation starts, and they just start hitting us, man. I mean, they start hitting me in the body, like in my legs and my belly, my chest, the back of my neck, my back, places where you couldn't really tell that they were hitting me, but it just fucking hurts. And my friends and I guess they were asking me some stuff, but they didn't really. We had some. They didn't know how deep we were. To be honest, we found this out later. When they kind of like lowered down their attitude, but they just start finding all kinds of shit on my messages, man. Because I didn't erase a lot of shit, and they were actually playing like, fuck, man. I have this friend. He's in jail right now, but he used to tell me every time he killed somebody, every time he would send me audios while he was shooting people sometimes. Like on Messenger, he was like, hey, I'm about to do a job right now. These fools, they be fucking up, whatever. And I was like, damn, fool. Like, I just like kept going like, oh, damn, you're crazy, whatever, this and that. And then an audio like, look. Hey, bap, 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 bap. Like you hear shit in the audio like that. So I had an audio like that. And while it was playing, I tried talking to the cops so he wouldn't listen. I was like, hey, no, but let me tell you something. I tried to like fucking come up with something. And he's like holding my phone, like trying to hear. And it was, and I tripped out then because he didn't say anything about it. He kind of like, he was like, what the fuck? But he tripped out on the guns because there was more, like I had this conversation. Let's say like you have cameras. And then let's say one day I'm driving by out here and I see cops outside of your house and I show you a video. I'm like, hey, what's up with all these cops outside your house? Mm-hmm. And then you show me a video of inside the cameras and you're like, nah, I'm watching everything. Right. It's all good. So they see that, so they know exactly where it is because they got a video of the outside and they got a video of the inside of the house. Right. And that's the guy that was buying me the guns. So they, and I didn't, there was all this the cops actually told the cartel that I snitched on them. They trying to get me in trouble with them. But the point is they found this on my messages and stuff like that. And they were like, oh, who is this guy? I was like, I don't know. I never met him. Because in the messages, there was like a middle guy, like I was telling you, like the middleman. Mm-hmm. I wasn't really sometimes not even seeing the guns, but I have pictures of them. And the ones I have pictures of them with this hand. So my tattoos were showing. So I couldn't really say it wasn't me because it was like, let me see. And then they grab my hand. Oh, that's you. Yeah. Bam, bam. They just start hitting me in the ribs. Because I wasn't admitting to anything. Like they just kept acting like, no. And then they, what are you saying no, bro? Like, what the fuck? I'm not going to say yes. Like, what the fuck? And so, yeah, they found this stuff and they wanted me to take them to that house. And I just kept saying no. I was like, no, I guess I don't know who he lives with, whatever. And they put the bag on my face. They actually took it from my friend because he was inside getting tortured and stuff. So I seen how one cop, that's how I know I was too calm. The cop was like, nah, he's too calm, bro. Like he's too chill. Like, fuck that. He went inside. He grabbed the bag from my friend's head, went outside and put it over my head just to like, so I knew it was real. But at this point, I don't know how it was a calm. I thought like inside it was shit scared. But I guess I wasn't showing it. And because I thought I was just like, I was like calm. But I was like, nah, fuck that. I want this shit to end, you know? And they put the bag over my head for a few seconds. And I just kept saying, like, I don't know, bro. Like that's the only thing. You've seen the conversation. That's the only thing I know. So
what would they assume from you being so calm that you were just like, you've been through this before? You were cartel.
They thought I was just way too used to this. They thought I was way too used to this, that I was well protected, that I was like,
because if the situation had come across where they had actually captured a guy who was a cartel and was not afraid of getting killed and knew that like there would be repercussions, that guy would not show any sort of fear.
Well, maybe. It depends what kind of cartel. Like my friend, he doesn't get violent. He's not a violent person. He's cartel because he moves stuff and he works for them, but he's not a violent person. So he was scared. He was like, nah, just let me go. I want to see my kid. You know, he was begging for his life and shit.
The first thing I thought about was like that the first video of a video getting raided. And he like comes out, he walks out, he's on his phone. He's like, hold on, I'll make a phone call. He was like so calm.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like the attitude that most people have. But if you're like my friend, he's just like a real family dude, you know. So he's more of he was really nervous. He was like, but like on some like I kind of grew up more of in a violent environment, I wouldn't say. Like, and I do have my run-ins with cops since I was young, like just a lot because I always dressed like baggy and stuff like that. I always looked suspicious type. I was always getting thrown in juvie. They take you over there for like overnight shit. You know, if you're walking late or whatever, for whatever reason, they would take me. So I knew a little bit, but I still get scared, bro. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I still don't want to deal with. I'm always nice to them. I'm never like on my bravado type. I'm always like, hey, officer, you know, I'm doing good, like whatever. I don't have a license, but I don't have any drug. You know, like I try to play cool. But these guys, they were just like on it. They didn't want no fucking nice part of it. They were like, no. So yeah, they're looking at me and they're like, nah, you're too calm, whatever, this and that. They put the bag over my head. They find this stuff. And eventually they just started asking me about like, all right, just give me a house, give me a name or something. I was like, bro, I'll give you my gun. I don't want to like, I don't have nobody else to snitch on. Like, I'll give you my shit. Like, I'll give you my gun. It's in my house. Let's go get it. Like, you don't even have to like rate it. Like, literally somebody can go out there and give it to you. Like, that's the only thing I have. And at this point, they start getting calls because one of the cops took a picture of me. When they found the houses and when they found the pictures, one of the guys took a picture of me. Apparently, he's connected with my friend's cartel.
Sinaloa?
No, Tijuana.
Okay.
Oh no, not the friend I was with. With my other friends.
Got it.
So apparently, he shoots. They got this like Telegram and apps like that, where they got the whole group in there, and you shoot a picture and like, hey, anybody know this guy because he's snitching on so and so. So
the cops have some sort of a Telegram channel connected to these cartels.
Yeah, there's always like in the group of cops, there's always one or two that are in groups to stay connected with the cartels. Whichever they're working on.
For example, like in case they kidnap somebody who's part of the cartel,
like
they want to make sure
let's say, for instance, I would have been a son of somebody important or something like that. You know, they would have been, and I didn't tell them because like even like when you brag about being somebody, that's not well looked upon. You know, unless you're like really, really somebody, be like, hey, I'm this guy. Like, don't fuck with me. But at that point, they know. You know. But when you're like coming up or when you're like, we're not even like a real member, like I was nothing, you can't really be like, hey, you know who I am? Like, you know, that's not even the attitude. Especially if you want to, I've always been a negotiator type. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I get crazy sometimes, but with the cops, I'm always negotiating because you're not going to beat them. You're never going to beat them. So it's better to negotiate and be friends with them and be on the good side, you know? So yeah, I mean, at this point, yeah, one of the cops takes a picture of me. I didn't realize, but I was handcuffed. Takes a picture of me and sends it to the group. And everybody knows me because he sends it to my friends group. And And once everybody starts like, hey, what's up? Like, why you get them? Like, what? Like, cause I'm not involved in, you know what I mean? I'm like super like third
Right.
party such. So everybody's mostly like surprised that they have me there and tied up and saying that I snitched. So now they're calling the cops. They're like, hey, what's up with my boy? You know, what do you need for him to let him go? Like, so now I start getting calls from Sinaloa too, because my friend, he's connected too. So I guess they send a picture too of him to the other group. So now they got these guys looking for us. And at first nobody knew like they had us, you know, because they just caught us like in a swap meet, like some random shit. But now they actually made everybody know. So now they just want to hurry up. They're like, okay, so what are you gonna give me? And I was like I said, I got my gun in my house. I'll give you that. How are you gonna do it? I was like, well, my friend, he's a psychologist. He lives right in front of my house. He's my childhood friend. He does not have nothing to do with it. And he knows my family. I can tell him, go in, get it. He'll bring it back out to you. You guys don't have to, like, my grandma lives there. Like, I was in TJ. I was like, it's my grandma's house. It's all family. Like, there's no need, bro. Like, there's just a waste of time if you break into my house. Like, I literally just will give you what I have. And they're like, all right, call your friend and tell him to get the gun ready and take it to the OXXO, you know, or 7-Eleven. And, so I'm doing this negotiation. My friend is doing another negotiation with the ones he's dealing with. They're asking him for $3,000. After all this shit they saw on their phones, they only want my gun and $3,000. Well, at this point we weren't together, so we didn't know. But I was like, damn, they only want my gun? I was like, they were asking me for all of these kinds of information and shit, and now they only want my gun. I was like, okay, you know what's going on. So okay, so we come to an arrangement. I'm gonna give them their gun, my gun, and they're gonna let me go. So they put me in. Okay, so they put us back in the car. You know, same again. Head between the knees, hands behind your back, and it's a long drive because I live on all the way to the other side of the city. So we're just driving, and they keep going through my phone, and they're like, so what, you got a podcast? What's up with all these pictures? Well, these famous people and stuff like that. Well, I was like, well, I do. I've been telling you, like, because I've been telling you. I was like, I've been telling you, I do music. Like, I do this and that. And I got a podcast. And you know what? You should come too. You should come and let's talk about this at the podcast. I'm tied up, bro. I'm like, my hands between my knees and shit in the back of the patrol car. And we're having like a little 5 minutes of bonding, you know, like they're forgetting I'm arrested. I'm forgetting I'm a victim. And we're just talking about like podcasting. We're talking about El Calderon. Shout out to Ed. I don't know him personally, but I was telling him like, hey, you ever seen this guy El Calderon? He's like, because just going back, they saw pictures of El Gordo Villarreal, the one I was mentioning, and he goes way back. So the guy in charge, the cop, he's like, hey, what do you have pictures with him for? Like, what the fuck is he up to nowadays? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, you know, he's like, I used to chase him back in the day. Like, I'm from, he mentioned Ed's team. He's like, I'm from the team of Leizaola type thing, whatever. I used to chase all these motherfuckers, whatever.
Oh shit!
And I'm like, well, you should come and talk about this, bro. Like, I'm like, you should talk because I interviewed Gordo and he's still in prison, but you should come and talk about this. And that's where I was like, you know Ed Calderon? He's like, no, what the fuck is that? I was like, what you mean you don't know Ed Calderon? And I was like, and the guy had my phone. The guy next to him was like, hey, can you pull up the Instagram? He's like, what do I type? I was like, can you type Ed's manifesto? He's like, how the fuck you type that? I was like, put it on my hand. So I type it from, and they're going through Ed's. I actually texted. I don't know Ed. I never talked to him, but I actually texted this to his Instagram told him the story. They're actually going through his Instagram while we're tied up and we're driving to one of the houses, going through it, and they're like, "Nah, man, he's a phony. I never seen him. Whatever." I was like, "Nah, man, I think he's the real deal." He's like, "Man, all these people coming out. If I were coming to your podcast and I told the stories, man, I would be giving the real thing." I was like, well, what's up? You know, when should we do it? And they were not going for it because, like I said, there was only like 5 to 10 minutes of bonding after we started getting close to I thought we were going to my house. When they made me look up, we were outside my friend's house. The pictures that they found were outside that house.
Yeah.
At this point, I was like, oh yeah, we're bonding. We're just going to my house. I'm gonna give them the gun. They're gonna let me go, whatever. So they're like, hey, all right, shut the fuck up now. They slap me in the back and he's like, levanta la cabeza. So I look up and I was like, oh shit. And I see my homies block. And I'm like, nah, I don't know what house it is. And they're like, nah, bullshit. What house it is? I was like, I don't know. Like you seen in the pictures, like I just drove through the block. I don't know. I just know because he sends me pictures of his inside of the cameras, but I don't know what house it is. And the same cop that took a picture of me, he was a driver. He looked and he was like, well, that's the only house with cameras. So he took a picture of the house with cameras and he sent it to the text again. And he sent it to the group and he was like, he's snitching on this house. I don't know this. They told me this afterwards, but he was like, hey, he's snitching on this house. and that's like, oh no, that's one of our houses. Like, don't fucking go in, whatever, this and that. And I didn't like. They would have gone in if I would have told them like, hey, that's his house. Shit's in there, whatever. They would have gone in, bro, before even like texting the house. But since I didn't want to give it up, I guess the cop kind of like he was like, all right, let me ask first, I guess. Well, I don't know. But once he asked, they were like, no, not that house. So they didn't go in the house. And after that, they just busted a U-turn and they took me to my house. So now we're getting to my block. I call my friend. I'm outside up. I'm like, hey, what you doing? He's like, oh no, man, I'm just on my way to Oxxo get me a beer. You want? Like, can I drink it at your? Because they drink it in my. I got a little in my studio. It's like a spot. It's like right here. If they come in and chill, like they like to drink beers. I don't drink, but I let them drink at my house and I smoke. So he's like, hey, I'm on my way to get a beer. Can I drink it at your house? You at your house? I was like, not yet, man, but I need a real big favor from you. He's like, what's going on? I was like, can you grab my gun? It's in my purse and one of my baggies, and just take it also. I'll pick it up there. He's like, hey dog, everything cool? I was like, yeah, just handle, bro. Like, it's real serious, bro. Don't fuck it up. And he's like, yeah, no worries. But he's like, whatever. I'm just gonna get my friend. Like that's what I was telling you before. He's in the middle of something, but we're so used to like this life. It's nothing. Like, I could have asked him for my jacket. You know, it was the same shit. You know what I mean? So he gets that shit. We're parked like a block away, and we're seeing my friend go from his house to my house, get the bag, go in his car, and drive to the Oxxo that's 2 blocks away.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, that's him, right? The cops are like, that's him, right? That's him. I was like, yeah, that's him. So boom, they go, and they pull up on him, and they act like they are arresting him. Like, they get him out of the car and he's scared. He's like, what the fuck? And he's thinking that I snitched on him, because later on he's like, bro, I thought you snitched on me. I was like, bro, you're a fucking psychologist. You were just giving me my, like, right. How am I snitching? He's like, nah, I wasn't. He was like that friend that thinks he was in the middle, like a big ass fucking, yeah. He was like, nah, man. Like, but then after a while, he's like, nah, he was just fucking around. But he's, at this point, he's thinking like, I fucking called the cops on him or something. Mm-hmm. So they take the gun from him. They search him, whatever. They get the gun. And one of the cops is like, hey, man, don't be hanging out with the wrong crowd. This is what you get for hanging out with friends like this. Don't be hanging out with this kind of friends. You're a good guy, bro. Like, he tries to give him a lesson. But then they get in the patrol car again, and they just start acting like they just robbed somebody. Like, go. And the guy's driving and like, go this way. No. Turn this. No, I know this road right over here. There's a lot of cops over here. Go this way. And I'm like, what the fuck? We're in the patrol car, like running away from the cops. Like, damn. So now we're going to my friend's house because he lives all the way on the other side of the city. He promised them $3,000. At this point, I don't know, but that's what he told me. Mm-hmm. So we go, we meet his mom at a public place, like a Cartel Junior or something. And the lady hands over the money, and they let my friend go. So the guy in the back, he kind of actually, like, I think he follows me on Instagram, because he was asking me like my social media, and I think he follows me. He was like, hey, so we're going to let him go too, right? Asking about me. I'm all tied up and shit. And one of the cops is like, no, not yet. And I was like, whoa, bro, like, you got my gun, you got the money. Like, what do you mean not yet, you know? And they just close the doors. They get in the car and they just drive off. And I'm like, what? And then they took me to this like little industrial blocks. Mm-hmm. And they just like, get the fuck out of the car and don't look back. Don't look back. Like a fucking kidnapping. And they're like, don't look back. Look, walk straight. And I'm like, bro, I don't fucking want to, like, I just want to go home at this point. Like, You got my shit. Like, I don't want to. They were scared. They kept telling me like, on my way on when they were gonna drop me off, they kept saying like, hey bro, remember, I'm doing you a favor. Don't go crying to you know who. I was like, nah, I'm like, bro, I'm straight. Like, just let me go. He's like, nah. We've caught many people like you, and I help them out. He was like, look at this fucking site. He's like, I help them out, and then they go and tell the guys, the bosses, and now I get shit. So like, I caught you slipping today. I'm gonna let you go with some money. And that's it. Be like, take it as a man. And he was kind of right. You know, I was fucking up. I was doing shady shit, you know. I should have been arrested. But the streets in TJ is different. So I didn't get arrested. He let me go home. And they took my gun from me. So it's even, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I can sense he was scared, you know, like maybe not scared like of me, but of a backlash of some stuff, because all the people that just were like, hey, I know him. So he was like, don't go tell them, like, don't go crying to them, you know? And I'm like, bro, I don't fucking want nothing. I just want to go home right now, smoke a joint and be with my fucking dog, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, they just dropped me off at an industrial complex. And They give me my shit back and they just drive off. And I was already fucked up on my leg, so now I'm limping like for real. My ribs hurt, my knees and shit. And I get my phone out, and the first thing I do, I get the Google Maps out and see where the fuck I am, because I don't know where I am. I'm like, all right, I'm in the other side of the fucking city. So then my friend calls me, the one that he's like, hey, where are you? I'll pick you up right now. Like, and I tell him my location. He picks me up, and on my way to his house, I'm checking my phone, and there's just all kinds of messages, man. Like, hey, what happened? What are you doing? And one of the guys I trust the most, he used to be a military. He used to be, what do you say? How do you say teniente in English? Like lieutenant, maybe something like that.
Okay, yeah, lieutenant.
Something like that. He used to be, yeah. But now he became a personal security guard. Like you could hire, like you know how you hire ex-military and shit.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of cartel people hire that type of security guard too. So he's got connected that way with them. So he has communication. He doesn't work with them or anything, but he has good. They respect him, and he has good communication. So he was telling me, he's like, hey, this is the word that's going around that you snitched on this guy, and you better fix that shit because, you know. So I'm like, what the fuck? I'm thinking like, okay, I got off my shit. Like, finally, they let me go, whatever. And now I got handled with all this fucking pressure from the cartel and shit like that.
Because the cops said you snitched.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's why. What happened? Like, why are they tripping? He's like, well, no, they're saying that you took him to this fool's house. I was like, if I would have said the shit was in there, they would have broken in. Because one time it happened to me. They caught my friend. They found pictures of shit I had in my house. And he said they were in my house, and they broke into my house and they took him. So I was like, if I would have said that, they would have did the same shit. Like it's exactly the same case. I was like, I didn't say anything. I mean, that's why I got the fucking bag on my head. You know what I mean? Like,
damn,
so these days, probably week and a half go by of just negotiations, of just trying to convince them and trying to, like, because they were like, nah, if the cop told me, bro, like, I don't know, why would he lie to me? I was like, why would I fucking lie to you? He's like, well, because I could kill you if you were lying. And I was like, nah, but I'm like, you know. So eventually, like, the guy, the house they showed up to, the guy, he's actually my friend. Like, it's not only a business. He was actually my friend. So eventually he was like, you know what, man, I believe you, bro. Like I know I was tripping at first, whatever, but. And like I told him, like, I was tripping when somebody snitched on me. Like, I feel you, bro. Like, I know I've been in your shoes before. But this time, that wasn't it. Like, that's why they didn't bring into your house. Otherwise, they would have just gone in, bursted in like they always do, you know? But I didn't say anything. Like, whatever they found, I know I fucked up because I didn't raise the messages. You know, everybody, even like the boss, I don't want to say his name, but like the real head of the cartel right now, he's like, hey, no seas pendejo, borra mensajes. Like, come on, don't be stupid. Erase the messages next time. And it's funny because, like I said, everybody knows, like, bro, you always erase the messages. Like, what happened
The
that
head
day?
of the cartel told you that?
Yeah. Because
Tijuana?
because he was in the group when they asked for me. And I've met him like a couple of times. I've shook his hand before, and we've been like at the party, and I know people that work for him. I know a lot of people that work for him. So it's just this like familiarity of like he probably said he knew me, but he doesn't really know me. You know, he's like, oh yeah, I know him, like, you know, that type of thing. But yeah, like people next to him know me. People like on the same level of him know me too. So I was kind of like protected, I could say, that on that occasion. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, we backed you up, but now you gotta respond to us for what the fuck happened. But at the same time, I was like, what am I responding to? You guys didn't get anything confiscated. Your houses didn't get raided. Like, nothing happened to you guys. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the one that paid for my shit. I gave him my gun. Like, I'm the one that got beat up, you know? So yeah, eventually it was just like a little tension the first couple of days. And then now I'm cool with my friend, you know? Like, I was telling, like, bro, like, I know motherfuckers that kill fools like years later. So I'm just going to trust you and you know, like, and know that we're cool. But nah, like, I trust him, and I know he understood the situation and what happened. Like I said, man, the good thing is that I never get in trouble. Like, the cartel never has to do this type of things for me. Like, like, it's not like, oh, they always got to be answering. You know, it's never. That's why when the one and only time happened, they were like, wait, what the fuck? Like, why you have him for? Like, you know what I mean? So
it seems like the cops are making shit worse down there.
Yeah, they kind of are, because
it seems so backwards, but it seems like it's true. It seems like if they weren't there wouldn't be all this fucking bullshit happening.
Yeah, and the thing is, back then, we were talking about, you know, Ramon and them. They used to be very violent with the cops. Like, back then, bro, like, even when I was like 17 coming up, you could like literally be drinking in your car, whatever. If the local cops pulled you over, you would be like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? Like, let me the fuck go. Like, you could be like a fucking pain in the ass for them. They would have to bow their heads out because they were like
They were terrified.
They were terrified of the cartel. And like I don't know if I told you this over the phone. One time I was like, yeah, like 17, 18, and I was with with him, one of my friends that passed away, and he was very well connected since we were young. And they pulled us over. We're on our way to deliver some. He used to sell coke, like he used to sell like eights and stuff like that. And we're just on our way to deliver. I was with him on our way to deliver, and we got pulled over by like two local cops. And he was trying to like, I feel like he was one of the good cops. He was just surrounded by guys that weren't backing oil, but he seemed like one of the good cops because he wasn't backing down. My friends was telling him like, hey, I work for such and such, like you should just let me go. Like we're being nice. He's like, hey, I work for such and such. I'm just on my way to do something. Let me go. Like, I'll give you $15-$10. Back then it was like $20, like the rate, for just getting pulled over. Usually like, hey, I got pulled over. Oh, just give him something or buy him some para que se compre las cocas, para las cocas. That's what they say, dale para las cocas, Usually like $20, whatever, you have something. So we're trying to get away with that. And the cop was like, no, whatever. He was like standing his ground. So my friend called his boss and his boss is like, hey, hand him over the phone. Tell him to answer the phone. And the cop was like, no, I'm not talking to anybody. And back then it was like, oh, and so my friend's like, hey, he said he's not picking up the phone. So my friend's like, so his boss was like, oh, what? Give me the patrol number. So we look back. He's like, all right, P291, whatever. He hangs up probably like a minute and hey, and they called him on his walk-in. They're like, you better let my nephew go right the fuck now. I didn't hear the rest. I'm guessing you know what they said. But the cop came back. He's like, hey, why didn't you tell me you work for such and such? We told you, but we look young. Like if I look young at night, like 18. I always look like the youngest. So we looked like two kids, trying to play hard. But we were the real, like my friend was connected, so he didn't believe us. So he was like, why didn't you tell me you guys work for such and such? And my friend's like, I told you. He's like, oh man, you just got me in trouble, whatever. Like, bro, I told you. Like, I wasn't even trying to get you in trouble, just trying to go get on my way. That's how the local police cops used to be treated back then. Now it's just like, well, like what I was saying is back then they used to keep them in line with, the narcos used to make way more money than what they do now, like what the bosses do now. So they had just way more power where they could just buy the whole police and they could kill like police bosses, and police chiefs.
Why don't
and
they
stuff.
make that kind of money anymore?
Because it used to be a one organization, but now it's all broken up. Now you got three cartels.
Right.
If they work together, they could become what it used to be. But it's not. That's not the thing anymore. Not even in Sinaloa. Like everybody, all the big organizations, like what you see in Narcos, all that broke down, and everybody it just keeps branching out. Every time they catch someone, two guys come out. Every time they catch,
which makes it worse. Makes the situation way worse, way more violent.
Yeah, and it makes it violent amongst them because now like nobody wants to kill cops because it's too much heat. It draws too much heat, so nobody wants to fuck with the cops. They're shooting some, like the ones that they killed recently, like from I don't know, like 7 years from probably like 7 years now. They kill them because they've been stealing. They've been messing with the cartel. But back then they used to kill guys that didn't want, plata plomo. Remember that? Like you work for us or you're dead. Well, back then they used to do that, and that's how they ran the police. Like that's how the police will bow down to them. Right now, nobody wants to kill police, and I'm not saying they should, but right now nobody wants to do that kind of activity because it creates heat, and they're trying to worry about more as businessmen to make money. And the guys that are fighting, the guys that is violent and everything, are the guys that are fighting the little drug houses where they sell meth. And usually in those houses, they sell like their biggest income is meth, but they sell like Little Reggie, they sell pills, they sell like
Yo, can you turn that back on, Austin? Shit's fucking loud.
It's what's the difference from wholesale? It's wholesale and
Wholesale retail.
Retail, yeah. It's like little retails. Like the retail, those are the ones that are killing every day because that's like gang violence.
Right.
That's like one block is run by Sinaloa, or another block is run by Jalisco, and like the other two blocks are run by Tijuana, and then like the blocks in front of it is all Sinaloa. So it's just like gang fights. It's just like Crips and Bloods, and that's the one section of the cartel fighting. They have power over police too because the bosses of certain areas they also pay cops. So like recently they had this other cartel trying to come in where I'm from in TJ, to this area where the same people have ruled for like years, and now they're like many people have tried to come and take their stuff, but they're always stand their ground. And so some guys actually opened a little retail trap house in one of their blocks, and the state police showed up, and they went in there. They took everything, and they left 2 dead bodies outside. And I only know this because a big deal. It was right next to my friend's house, and like three different friends live in that block because it's a closed street. It's a no outlet street, so they all know each other. It's like a little. They always hanging out together and stuff, so they know everybody. So this happened, and now the owners, the owners of that turf, they went back and they're like, hey, we want to see the cameras of your house because we want to see what cops did this. So my friend doesn't want to be in the middle of it. He doesn't want to, like, you know. So he didn't want to show, like, he didn't want to give up the cameras, the videos. So they threatened that they were gonna kill him. So he had to move. He had to leave his house because there's this war going on in his fucking neighborhood, and his cameras got what happened. And now, you know, and that's the section of the retailing trap houses part of the cartel. That's the most violent. The guys that work wholesale. It's very well known when one of them dies because most of them are pretty chill. You see them out in clubbing. You see them out. They're like businessmen, and they're like, you see them in parties. You see them. You know they're the bosses.
Yeah,
but they're not.
They're more
like,
businessmen.
Yeah, they're more businessmen. So when one of them dies, you're like, oh shit! Like that fool, like he either became a snitch for the DA or he stole from somebody. He switched cartels. Like, you know, like something out of that sort. But all the other like 10 killings you see during the day, all the other 20 Joes, how do you call it, John Does that you see, that's just meth heads. That's just friends of meth heads, you know,
junkies.
Junkies and a lot of innocent people too, man. A lot of innocent. I know in TJ when somebody dies, it's very well known that he must have been in, you know, something. But now, man, many people, like I was telling you, like it's like if we're just having lunch and we're just friends, maybe we just met at, or like I got this homie that he used to play soccer, but he was involved with the cartel, and he was with the soccer players celebrating after, and they just came and shot up the place, you know. And it's this place where, like, bro, like,
who shot up the place?
They were gonna get one of them, the cartel guy, but he was celebrating with the soccer team, so they just showed up to
just shot up the whole
and
place.
just shot up the whole place,
God.
And that's how many innocent people die, and they're not involved. Like, how do you, like, if you're in a soccer team and a cartel member, do you just like, oh, you know what, I don't want to be in the soccer team anymore because he's playing? Do you really do that? Like, really do you really do that? Not really, man. You know, your first thought is gonna be, well, I never see this guy. I don't hang out with him. I only see him in soccer play. So whatever, you know.
Well, also, Luis was telling me that when they raided Ovidio's house, that the army killed not tons, but there was a lot of civilians who got shot and killed during that whole shootout. And apparently, from what I understood, is that they captured Ovidio. Like, they had some paramilitary guys come in a helicopter, take Ovidio out, and then they started the big fucking gunfight.
And if you hear the radio frequencies, you could hear when they're like, hey, güeros, we're getting raided by white people, or like the güeros, you know, like they're llegó la DEA, llegaron los güeros. They're actually reporting because, you know, they use Mexican military too, but they also, white people, like DEA agents, they do operate. It's so well known that they mention it in corridos, and their own corridos, like when they're bragging about stuff and anything. There's this couple lines where they're like, oh yeah, we're looking out for the Marines, but also those undercover DEA Marines, those DEA that dressed as Marines. Yeah, we see you. We know you're there. You know, they say there's lines like this in their corridos. So it's well known, man, because they're patrolling the streets and they're pulling people over. And if they pull like somebody over and they don't find anything, let's say they pull me over and they don't find anything on me, but I see that some of them are white. You know, some of them aren't speaking well good Spanish. So I go and they let me go. So I tell my friends like, hey, there was white people with him, you know. So this word just starts spreading around so much. They see him so much that now it's like they recognize him, you know. So in the frequencies, the radio frequencies that they get on the social media, you could hear them saying, hey, we're getting raided by the güeros. Like, the güeros nos cayeron a video. Like, you know, they're getting a video. So, you know, it's stuff like that that's not mentioned, as well as the people that died, you know. Like I was telling you earlier, like when they want to clean something, you know, it's kind of hard to pick and choose who's guilty and who's not. Because like I said, it's not certain type of people, you know. It's not like, oh, only these guys are. Like, only the guys that dress like this are. Nah, man, like, especially in those rural areas where look, man, all these rural areas in Mexico, they have this they never had a good relationship with the military. if you go back to like the days of the revolution and stuff like that, they were always fighting the military. It's always the military against the countryside people because they're forgotten. The government doesn't do anything for them. So this hate doesn't come from like the narcos. It's just been boiling through generations. So these people obviously are gonna back up their local. In this case, Ovidio or Chapo. So you as a cop, you're going to them and tell you that the whole town is against you. So like, I mean, I'm not saying they did it on purpose, but if you're fucking shooting and in adrenaline and then you see a couple of kids or guys running somewhere and fucking shoot them too, maybe they were just trying to get away.
Right.
Because if you see the shootout, they're shooting in the middle of the town. It's not like, it is in the outskirts, it is a rural area, but it's still a lot of houses and a lot of families and a lot of stuff. It's still like a neighborhood, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So
the military has this rep of like just picking up the dead and disappearing them. Even in this started happening when they have these big shootouts back in like 2009, 2010, when this big shootout started happening, when they're like everything became militarized, like the Zetas and all this stuff. And it was funny because you would see these news where it was like 14 sicarios killed, 1 arrested, and 1 military injured in the leg. You're like, really? Like nobody gave up. Like you killed the first 2 guys and nobody gave up. And then stories started coming out like they were just killing them. They weren't arresting them because they were eventually be let go by the judges. So after the shootout, they just killed everybody. Even the guys that were begging for their lives, that were, they're crawling, like they would just shoot everybody. And it's common sense. Like there's no way the 15 sicarios fought to the death. It's at least there's gonna be 5 that's gonna be like, you know what, fuck this, like fuck that, that's human nature, So it just, if you like I said, yeah, I've always read news and stuff like that. I've always been on point with that. So you started seeing all these stories, and I asked my military friends, I was like, this is military propaganda. You can't really say that how many our military men are actually injured, right? He's like, nah, man. The lieutenant, he's like, because if we do, we lower the morale on other places, and they're gonna think that we're losing. Like there were some places where like it was only main news that militaries died because the cartel would leave like stacks of bodies in a very well-known road, where it made it like fucking like obvious, like you can't hide that you guys are taking deaths too. So I asked my friend, he's like, yeah, we can't really what do you say, like divulge, or we can't really say we kind of hide that information because we don't want to lower the morals of the troops that are actually fighting out there, and because it seemed illogical that like only 1 military hurt in the leg. I mean, I know sicarios can't shoot, but like I would expect a few more, especially when they're like getting ambushed. Like sometimes military will be like parked in a gas station, and then bam, another convoy of cars just pull up and bam, 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 and start shooting at them, and they didn't hit nobody. Like really?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I see what you're saying. What sort of plan is there? What is the president of Mexico talking about when it comes to trying to eradicate the violence between all these cartels? Like what do they say they want to do? Like what is their plan, and what is actually being done? And do you think any of this shit will work? Do you see any end to this?
I have a lot of friends, not only in the cartel, bro. I have friends in politics. I have a lot of reporter friends, a lot. Like I like all that stuff, but what I've seen with this government, anything they well, his slogan, right?
With the hugs, not drugs.
Yeah. Hugs, not bullets. Abrazos, no balazos. He's kind of stand on it, to be honest, because the cops are crazy. Like I was telling you, in my city, they're just taking advantage of the situation. They're most of these, maybe even in Sinaloa, like the bosses right now, they've been bosses for like 10 plus years now. They haven't had no like attempts. Usually you used to read about, oh, they were close to El Mayo. Oh, they almost caught a Chapo. He got away, or whoever it was. But the guys that've been here for like the last 10 years, they've been like, you see them at parties. I see them at parties. I've seen them like in.
But why Ovidio? Why do they get him?
I think my hypothesis on that, from the different information I gather, is that how they say they stumbled upon him. They didn't know they were gonna get him the first time they got him. Like when they ran into him, I think this is Ed's version, where he's like, when they get him, they're like, oh shit, they didn't know it was him, But sucks for him. But now they know who he is, and now the fact that the whole thing happened, how they took him away from the
Like it was
government.
because it was public. They had to admit they.
Now, like, if he would have been arrested that day, he would have probably made it like with money, probably bribing a judge. He probably would have gone out because he wasn't that big, he wasn't that known. Like his brothers are like in the most wanted, cartels and stuff like that. But he wasn't really that much. Like he's well known among the things. But it's different too. Like, there's a lot of narcos that are not in the most wanted list that are big narcos. You know what I mean?
Luis said that Ovidio was like the one son of El Chapo who El Chapo didn't want him to be in like the cartel business. He kind of like tried to shade him from
They
that.
have many sons like that. They have other kids that are not known. They have other.
Oh, really?
They become known once they go to the dark side. But there's
Oh.
people, like I was saying, in the Arellano family too. There's brothers that never. There's actually one that I believe he's in the Vatican. That he's a priest.
What?
Yeah, you should look into it. There's one that's real. That's why when the horror thing happened with the cardinal and stuff like that, they actually were getting a little bit of backup from the church, and I mean from like the church, not like local churches.
Really?
They because they were a wealthy family. You know how wealth and church is always like
Yeah.
So they were always that family, and yeah, man, one of the brothers, I believe I think he's in the Vatican. I think he's a priest. So, yeah, I mean, many members of these families, they're not known. They become known once they do something, like a video. Once they start doing like the social media and stuff like that, they start getting known. But there's Chapo. How many sons do you think he has? He was just fucking all these like virgins and shit. Like fucking, and it's like a prideful thing for like older generations to like get like these like virgins. That's why he's. Like his last wife is younger than his older son, I think. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So,
Someone was just telling me about that, and as well as Pablo was like a sick fuck like that too. Like
yeah.
Like his wife was super young when he married her, and she was pregnant when she was like 13 or something.
And that actually goes a lot in the country over there, and it's not like I'm not trying to justify him, but actually girls like. Want to, like girls look for these guys. Like if a Chapo's hosting a party, all the little girls be like, "Oh, let's go and see if he fucking marries me or some shit." They actually like, and then it's all glorified the narco culture and stuff. So it makes it like it makes it for them to think it's okay. You know what I mean? Like,
well, they're just looking for opportunity, right?
Yeah,
like,
but it's also this old school way of like getting young girls, like because it's not even the narcos. Like nobody's are getting like young girls too, and young girls are getting older guys. It's weird, you know what I mean? It's like, how they back then they wanted like boys go to work and girls get married.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So that's kind of the thing in those areas. It's country, bro. It's not like they got people that come and go to the city and that've been out, but it's very countryish. It's very well, yeah, it's a rural area. Old school ways.
Yeah,
and but yeah, I mean once they start getting known, it's because they jumped in the dark side. Like I was saying, the oldest son, Ivan, he's been into the life since he was really young. Like I don't think he ever wanted to be like, I don't know him, but I don't think he ever wanted to be like a straight up kid or nothing, because him and El Mayo's oldest son, they were basically, I feel like they were teaching them to take over the business. You know what I mean? That's why they got so powerful. Like Ivan is very powerful, and El Mayo's son, the one that became an informant, he was very powerful too. Like and there's sometimes where people take charge that you're like, yeah, people don't respect him. He's in charge, but people don't respect him that much. Well, these guys, they are loved. They like him. They're well liked, and so they got the whole thing to be the boss. So like him, he's always been in the spotlight because since he was young, he was the son of El Chapo. He's the oldest, he's known in Culiacan with the fucking Ferraris and everything. And eventually he went to jail for a couple of years, I think. And then he got out and he's never been arrested since. And he got out in like, I want to say like 2007 or something like that, 2006. He was in a crash, in a car accident, something like that. And he did like 3 years. And they say that, oh, okay, I remember how these stories connect. They said in the streets that, how Chapo went to war with his cousins, the Beltran Leyva. I don't know if you heard of them. They used to be like this federation, but they broke up once. They used to back up at Chapo when he was in jail and stuff like that. So when Chapo gets out, They still help him out and everything.
Is
But
this the guy who helped El Chapo escape the first time?
no, I think you're talking about El Licenciado, the guy that turned himself into.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
was
no,
thinking
no,
of,
not
yeah.
him. This were actually other side of the cartel that was really strong. I don't think, maybe you've seen a picture when the military killed him. They just filled his body with bills, and there's pictures of him with like his body, and they actually got in trouble for that. But yeah, it was just this other section. It was just like another version of another Chapo, another Mayo. But they were brothers. The Beltran
Okay.
Leyvas. It was Alfredo Beltran and Arturo Beltran, and they were the same. But when Chapo got out, they started like beefing, and they said, this is the word in the street. It's not nothing that I'm thinking, but they said that El Chapo turned one of them in so that his son could get out, because when his son got out, they arrested one of the other guys, and then after that, the brother of the one that got arrested, he's like, nah, you motherfuckers snitched on my brother, and he just went full on war, and that's the war starting in 2008, 2009 over there with them, and
Holy
it
shit.
was like one of the worst.
And who were the guys? And there was two guys that were a big part of Chapo's final arrest. The two guys that were in Chicago, those two brothers.
The brothers, yeah, that they're working with 50 Cent now. I don't know if you've seen it. They made a podcast telling their stories.
I saw that. Yeah,
50 Cent. 50
Luis
Cent
was telling me about that.
I seen this interview of 50 Cent where he's saying how he met them. I guess back in the day when they were deep in the game, one of his artists they snatched his chain. You know how over here you guys they snatch rappers' chains, I guess. And I guess one of the twins got it back for 50.
Oh shit.
And that's how they met back in the day. So now that 50's shout out 50 Cent, bro. I love his series. I love it. I read his books and like I think
Really?
Yeah. He's one of my, I look up to that guy. But yeah, man, I like how he's turning all that into like entertainment, And he's turning like the BMF thing. You heard about the BMF guys?
Yep.
Yeah, he made a series about that, and he put the son of Meech. He's playing Meech. That's like getting the son of El Chapo to play El Chapo. You know what I mean?
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's pretty wild, man.
Yeah, man.
Good
That's
for him.
crazy. And that's
He's hustler.
and that's keeping it pure too. That's keeping it like in the you're not just hiring any actors to do this. You're actually hiring actors that know what the fuck happened and that are close to the thing. But yeah, man, shout out to fucking 50 Cent. But yeah, he was working with those twins, and I mean, my street side is like, man, these guys are snitches. Like these guys turn on everything. Like they weren't in Mexico, but they were over here, so that's why they were. It was easy for them to snitch in a way, because I think their father did get in trouble or something. I don't know if he passed away or something, but I've seen a little bit of their interviews and stuff. And because their wives also had like a book or something,
Yeah.
so like that. And I think they got in trouble for that too. So, yeah, man. I mean, it's wild. I like if El Mayo's son tried to do it, I don't think he could do it. I don't think he could just all of a sudden turn YouTuber, storyteller, and just going around telling story. I don't think he's just too street for that, man. And I'm not saying the twins are not, but it's really different when you grow up in the cartel and like them, like family, like, that's going against all of your values, all your.
How come you don't hear about El Mayo? He's not in any of the shows. He's not in Narcos, right?
Nah, he's in the Chapo series.
He's in the El Chapo
Yeah,
series.
but it's funny how it's not in Narcos. They don't mention him or anything.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people don't mention him.
Well, this part gets tricky, man, because I think Luis mentioned it here, how he has like this background with the CIA and like all this stuff. And people keep like blaming them every time somebody gets caught. They're like, oh, he probably snitched on them, like, stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah,
I
Luis
think-
was telling a story. I think it's on his Instagram now, where he just made this whole video about how a guy who was like a former police officer or CIA
he
officer
became his brother-in-law.
who became his brother-in-law, who got El Mayo into the cartel.
And El Mayo's son talks about this in his book. His book came out like, what, 5 years ago, maybe, or more? And this is information that's been there, but nobody reads.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Nobody reads
Yeah.
book. It's not in a video, so nobody knows about
nobody
it.
knows about
Yeah,
it.
it's in a book.
A paperback book.
It's in like
Good
2
luck.
pages, in the 2 pages of like a book,
Yeah.
so like nobody knows
Might
about
as well
it.
be on a stone tablet in some sort of fucking crazy
Yeah,
vault somewhere.
and just a little thing there. One of the things when I started writing, I actually how do you say it when you foment? Is that the word? Fomenting reading? Because all my friends that don't read, I made them read. They read my shit. Like they like just because it's my shit. And they would call me and they'd be like, hey bro, I read that shit you published. I mean, I don't read, but since it was you and you're like talking about life, that shit was cool, bro. Keep it up. So I was talking to one of my writer friends. He actually interviewed Benjamin Arellano. He wrote a book on with him, and he was like, bro, you're actually making people read, like people that don't read. You know what I mean? Not just regular people.
That's pretty
read.
cool, man.
Yeah, and that's just something that's is still up to, like, because I keep getting it from my friends, like, hey man, I read that shit or I will have books and there would be like a shootout like in pages, and I'll read it and I'll be like, hey, read from 24 to 27. And I'll have them reading in my studio, like fools that will never pick up a book, bro. They were reading that and they'll be like, oh, whoa, find me another one like that, you know? And then now we have to find them another like shootout or something, you know? But yeah, man, most of these people don't read. So that's information. That information about the CIA brother-in-law is in the book. And I mean, yeah, he has this background.
Oh, that's in his book.
Yeah, his son talks about it. You haven't read the book?
I haven't not read the book.
Oh my god, bro, you're missing out. He actually, I think in the book he talks about how while he's arrested, he calls his dad while he's with the DA agents, and he's like, you know what? I think that's when he tells him, like, he's gonna tell, and his dad's like, yeah, do whatever you need to do. Like, say whatever you need to say. Like, you do what you need to do to fucking save your ass. And I mean, the way he tells it in the book, it just sounds so fucking like thrilling. Like in an
What's the
action
book called?
The Traitor.
The Traitor.
He wrote it himself, and it's the cover. It's him with a clown face that he drew himself.
His own face.
He himself. He drew himself. I don't know if you can find the cover in the.
Where's he at now? What is he doing now?
Well, he's probably living in one of those random cities in the U.S. where they hide.
He's in the U.S. like covered, like he's got some sort of witness protection.
Well, he testified against El Chapo too. He testified against everybody.
Oh, that's his book, The Traitor. No way.
He drew that himself.
That's wild.
His attorney contacted one of the most.
Oh, it's on audio. There you go.
Yeah. His attorney contacted one of the reporters in Mexico. I don't know if you heard about her, Anabel Hernandez. Well, his attorney contacted her to talk about the book, and I think it's over 5 years of writing the book. She kept talking to them and the lawyer and stuff like that, and she's the author on that. And yeah, man, I mean, that's a really good read, bro. That talks about the whole background on Mayo. With his son is telling about it with his dad's authorization. Like, he's literally telling a book how he called his dad while he's with the DA. Imagine.
Are there any interviews of El Mayo?
Yeah, it's only written though. They never released the recorded one.
No recorded video.
No, but there's pictures where you never heard about this interview?
No.
There's this really famous magazine called Proceso. I don't know if you heard of it. And I believe it's one of the founders, if not the founder. He passed away already. He was like this really respected journalist. And I guess Mayo admired him. And he reached out to him. And he was like, yeah, I want to do an interview with you. So this guy, there's a picture of him. I don't know if you could pull that up too, because his name was Julio. I'm forgetting the name of the journalist. But Julio something. And he took a picture with Mayo. And they talked. I read it. This was like 2011, 2012, I think. So when I read it, I remember they're talking like in one of Mayo's cabins, and he's not really answering questions. He's more like, I think he's like letting him talk more. This is a long time I read this, but it's really interesting. It's really interesting that Mayo wants to get it like something out there. You know what I mean? That's something that I was telling Luis, like, hey, how do you know when?
Well, he's getting older now.
El Mayo? Yeah, he should be really old, man. I mean, I heard he's sick. I think diabetes or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what Luis told me.
But he I mean, he must be. He's old, and all the stress, bro. Like, just like I was talking about the stress of flying. Like, you know, your belly hurts and like all this stuff. Just imagine knowing every day, every time you wake up, that there's tons of people looking for you.
Yeah, bro.
And I mean, tons, literally, like enemies, military, and Interpol, like DEA, all these people. Like, your head is worth $20 million, bro. Imagine the stress of that shit.
That's it for him?
Yeah.
20 million?
Yeah, that's why he has a correo. He's like, they're offering 20 million for me. I spend that shit on a horse.
That guy's got to be worth billions.
And his correo, he says he spends that on a horse. He literally says that. That's.
Oh my God.
He's like, 20 million to get me. I spent 20 million on a horse. if that's not bars, if that's not rap bars,
That's
bro,
a
I don't know
bar.
what the fuck
That
it
is
is.
a fucking bar, bro.
And coming from the guy, you know, I mean, I know he didn't write the corrido, but he had to authorize it. So it's, you know. So yeah, man. I mean,
what makes the most money for the cartels right now?
well, illegal immigrants right now, it's a good
Illegal
income.
immigrants.
Right now, they're going for like
More than any drugs?
not more, but it's a good money because they're paying like 20,000 per people. Like if you were trying to get across, you will pay around $15,000 to $20,000, and that's for one person. And that's not like, and that's like, I could put two people in a trunk and just drop them off in San Isidro. That's my $40 right there.
How has that shit changed since, and what was the difference between when Trump was president and now that Biden's president? Because we were talking earlier, and obviously the relationship between...
Oh, that's a picture. Yeah.
Oh, that's the journalist?
Yeah, Julio Scherer. Yeah, that's his name.
That was a long time ago, huh?
Yeah. That should be like what, 2009? I mean, 2009, 2010?
It was 2005.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. 13 years ago.
Yeah, I remember when that came out, everybody was stunned, you know, like. And the reporter talks about how he recorded the conversation, but he never released it. I think
really?
he did have a recording, but it's only on he only typed it. And it's not really that long or anything. It's just like a little small talk. But I
Right.
mean, coming from a Mayo, you want to hear anything he
Oh,
says.
of
You know,
course,
you want to
yeah.
know what fucking food he ordered and shit. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So,
No, how has the border changed since Trump was president to now?
I don't think
Have you noticed anything? Any difference?
it didn't really change when Trump was in.
It didn't change.
Not really. He I know one of his campaigns were like the wall, but the
Yeah.
wall's never been a problem.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It was just some sort of like...
yeah. It worked for him.
It
You know,
worked for
it worked
him,
for
yeah.
him. But I mean, you see all these videos. You seen tunnels. You see we have. I mean, not we, but literally cartels have catapults. I don't know if you've seen them, but
I have.
there's these places in like Arizona and stuff where it's mostly desert, so they just use like medieval catapults, bro. You know, have you seen the ramps where they jump the cars over? Where they jump like the Baja cars with like the trucks?
I don't think I've seen the
Oh,
ramps.
bro, if you can, you should pull it up. There's ramps literally going over the
Is
wall.
there videos of this shit?
There's pictures. I know there's pictures because I think he got caught. But there's one where there. I mean, if there's one picture,
How tall is that wall? Is what, like 50 feet tall?
the one the new one, yeah. But the one that was before, I don't think it was that big.
Okay.
And like I said, there's places in the desert where there's no like where it's just a fence. Like once you get like
Right.
I know there's big walls like in the cities, but once you get like deep in the desert, like when you go into like Hermosillo or like all the stuff in the desert, like there's places where it's just like we just move the little thing, you know, and just go in,
Yeah.
and that's why you see all these videos of all these illegal immigrants with backpacks because they're making money off of the illegal immigrants and they're having them carry stuff across. So that's you know,
Shit.
but yeah, I mean.
So the drug stuff is kind of like small time now.
Nah. I think it's still up there. The low coke, that's always gonna make money. Coke.
Yeah.
Marijuana was not really, unless you send it to like the states where it's still illegal. You know, because I know people that send marijuana to states where it's like I think like Mississippi. I don't know, like places where it's still like where we're still illegal over here, and I guess there's still like a market for Reggie. You know, or like
Yeah.
really good Reggie. So, but yeah, man. I mean, coke is always gonna be there. You know,
What would change if drugs became legalized in the U.S.? How would the cartels adapt? They survive. Like, what would the violence change?
Well, I see it like this. Look at California with the weed. You still got a black market. I mean, you got legal dispensaries, and at first people were like, oh, even myself were like, man, they're taxing. Like, I don't want to go like tax. I'll just go to my dealer. You know, he's still selling. So like, there's. Like in California is the best place for weed. Like I'm pretty sure you know, but it's still a large black market on it. Like a large black market. Like they do, and I do it because I used to sell weed. Like you know what I mean. So I would get it from like at first I would before I found the dealer I would go to all the dispensaries and get all the like first time patient deals and all this stuff and just fucking buy all this shit. But eventually like first time patient deals ran out and all this shit and I was getting it for third person price. So eventually I connected with people with like locals in San Diego because I never really grew up in San Diego, you know, so I didn't really know like the streets in San Diego. So eventually I started getting to know like a little bit of locals and street people and stuff. And I eventually came up with some people like growers and stuff like that actually I met them because they did this big ass events of weed where it's just like a group of vendors would just show up and sell the weed, but there was events with like rappers, giveaways and shit like that. And they were 4 hour long events. So like by the time the police got a report on it, it was over. And they would do it like in this empty warehouses and shit like that, you know? And they have a little community on Instagram where it's like, okay, the next event, we're dropping off the Addy at tomorrow at a certain time. And they drop the Addy and then you go out, you know, get free gift in the entrance and you show up and there's like 40 vendors of different kinds of weeds and shit, all illegal. And this isn't a place where weed is legal, like where you could, you know, but it's expensive to put a legal dispensary on, you know, it's like $1 million or some shit like that, all these kinds of things. So like, I mean, cookies, that's how it came up, you know, the backpack boys, that's how they came up, you know, eventually you got to rise up, but it leaves this margin for like black markets too. And I think that's kind of what's going to happen with, if like, let's say if they legalize cocaine, it's going to be, the government's going to have control of it. You know, it's going to be probably not as pure, you know, probably not as good. People say, nah, it's definitely going to be pure because it's going to be better because it's the government. But when I don't, you know, like I don't trust the government.
Like, try to make the most money they can out
exactly,
of it, right?
You know, so
or selling it through pharmaceutical companies.
So if they're cutting it, but you still got this dealer, you know, that you always call. Like, why would you just change? Why would you just start going to the pharmacy when this guy's always been selling to you since it was legal? You know, he gets the good shit. Yeah. He drops it off at your house. You know, you know. So this kind of connection with the dealers, I think maybe it's still early. Maybe if they legalize it and then in 50 years, maybe you know everything changed. But it's gonna take a while.
The problem with cocaine is the dealers in the U.S., right? Because they're the ones that are cutting it with shit like accidentally cutting it with fentanyl or cutting it with other shit that people don't know what the fuck they're getting at low level.
But then at the same time, when
because cartels aren't doing that, right?
No, they don't like doing that shit. It's a bad rep. But then again, you've seen users where they're like they find out somebody OD'd, and now they want to get that shit. You know what I mean? It's also like kind of the users for it too, where instead of being scared of like, oh, he OD'd, like I'm not buying from his dealer. They go like, oh no, where he get this shit from? You know, they want the strong shit because in their mind they think like, oh, he died, but I can't handle it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's crazy. And there's people that think like that. They're like, I want this shit that I want to be flirting with death when I'm taking exactly. That shit.
And it even becomes as a joke when I see like there's this famous video of a rapper passing out from a dab. Where he couldn't handle the dab, so he just starts fucking coughing and he just passes out. And me and the homies were like, I want to have that shit. Like, I want to get what he, you know? But it's that, addict mentality, I think. You know, where you think like, oh, that's too good, but he couldn't handle it. I can handle it, you know? So I think that's what fucks up also because instead of the users being like, hey, no, like taking care of each other type thing, no, they want the shit that's killing people. You know what I mean? And it sucks because if, let's say you're a dealer that's cutting your shit with fentanyl and one of your clients died, but you keep getting more clients, you're not going to stop. You know what I mean? You're going to be like, oh, Mexican cartels don't know what the fuck they're doing. Yeah, put fentanyl on this shit. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, I mean, I know it sounds like a cliche, but it's also a very lack of education on drugs. Because I remember when I've always liked to research everything. And when I was young, and we only had one computer in my house, and you have to be like off the phone to use the internet, I would research, like I would be out with my friends. And when I started, like some of my friends were doing coke really young, and I didn't do coke till I was like 19. But some of my friends were doing it like really young. And I was like, you know, like I kind of was like a mama's boy. Like I was raised by my mom, like but I became a bad boy. So all these things like marijuana, I kind of thought it was cool, and I researched it. I was like, what is marijuana? Like when they taught me how to use Google in middle school, they taught me how to use Google and Ask Jeeves back in the day.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, so I would type everything, bro. I love research stuff. So I would research like, what do these drugs do? What does this drug do? And once I Google like meth and coke and all that, I was like, oh, what the fuck is that? You know, like I don't know that shit. Eventually, you see people doing coke all the time where you just like, it's whatever, I do a bump. And it wasn't really my thing. Like I was telling you earlier, uppers are not my thing. I'm always like more of a weed chill guy. But it was just all over. Like everybody's doing it, everybody's drinking and having fun. And it's just like, whatever, let's do a couple bumps. And eventually you become a cokehead. You know, you're doing this shit every weekend and you think it's just socially, but now every weekend that you drink, you want to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and other drugs that really, really cause a lot of trouble. And I want to speak on this. It's actually I was thinking about this before. Are actually the legal drugs. Like there's this drug. I don't know what do you call it in English. It's Ribotril or clonazepam. It's
Klonopin?
no clonazepam
Clonazepam?
or Ribotril. I think they give it to people that have seizures. It's
Really?
a
Like
downer.
epileptic people?
Yeah, like epileptic people. I think it's like a downer. It just people take it for anxiety. People, it's like what's the other what can you name me some pills like Valium, Xanax,
Valium,
it's something
Vicodin.
something around that. Not as strong as Xanax, but it's something like that, and it's
Okay.
legal. It's like a real thing, like just like
Legal
those
in the
drugs.
U.S.?
Legal everywhere.
Okay.
And but this is one of the sicario's favorite drugs because it just blacks you out, and you don't remember anything. And
So they do that like when they go out and like commit murders.
yeah, literally before they go, they pop 2 with a Coke. That's the little combo over there.
With a coke.
Oh yeah, they it's a saying that with Coke it hits faster, but it's just you feel the gas deteriorating the pill, so it feels like you're getting a much faster high, but it's just the same shit. But yeah, it's kind of like Xanax, bro. You know how people pass out on that and they just don't remember and they black out and they're like, oh, I woke up with like new clothes and shit like that. Or well, these drugs, particularly these pills, they're very much used by sicarios and by like regular people. And like regular people are like I know a lot that they're like, oh well, I just use it to sleep. Well yeah, but when you don't take it, you get all irritated and you're fucking yelling and you're
of course.
hitting your kids and shit like that. And like that's like meth. You know what I mean? Like what's the difference? You know? And people, like I said, I have friends that before they go commit a crime, they pop that and they're drinking the Coke and they smoke maybe a little J and they wait till that shit and then on the dry over there, they do what they gotta do. Next days go by and they don't remember that they did it. So maybe they remember a little bit, but not that weight in conscience. You know, as if you like fucking did it, you know?
Well, like, yeah, it's so, the lines are so weird when it comes to what's legal and what's not, because like Coke, it's illegal, but we have fucking Adderall and all these other things that are basically just, they're like one molecule away from being just pure meth. And
I think
90% of students in America are on Adderall every single day.
And I feel meth is worse than Coke. If Adderall had Coke, I don't think it would be like as strong as it is, because Coke is not really that, I don't feel it's as strong as meth. And that's something else too. I really hate meth, bro. That's something I have close people like family members and stuff that can't get over the addiction of meth. And it's one of those things where it just sucks because, like, I tell people, like, at least heroin, at least it kills you. You know what I mean? At least you're fucking ODing one day and that's it. But meth, it keeps you alive forever.
What is the difference between, I've never done meth. What is the difference between Coke and meth?
Well, meth is...
like, I know what the difference is. Like, I know what the actual difference is between the two drugs, but like, what is the experience? What is the
Well, the part about Coke is that it comes from a plant. So it's kind of natural. You know, it's mixed with other stuff that get the what do you call it? The ingredients, the ones that you want to get out, they get them out. But meth is straight synthetic. Meth is straight fucking medicine. Meth is straight pills.
Yeah,
meth
it's
is
cooked up.
It's it's the worst. And
what is like the high? Like, what is the difference between the high, getting high off meth and?
I've never tried meth. I've always been scared. I'm from the generation where when I was young and the older guys, they would be like, hey, if I ever see you smoking meth, I'm gonna beat you up. Like, don't do this. And then just seeing them, bro, like seeing them, I was like, I don't want to look like that. Like,
yeah, no,
I've
seen
stoners.
Breaking Bad.
Yeah. Like, I remember I used to watch like the first movies I kind of saw marijuana in it. It was like Friday, you know, like smoking and stuff. So you see like podcasts and it seemed fun. Like for me, like I love listening to music and chilling in my room. So like with a joint, it seemed perfect. You know what I mean? It kind of seemed like the vibe.
Yeah.
But I seen like the meth heads and all these other fools that are all dirty and like, you know, all scrubby and shit like that.
Scratching themselves.
Yeah. That's the heroin. Heroin makes them scratch themselves.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, there's people that mix it. There's people that like to do meth with heroin, and there's people that one of my friends, he said he injected once meth and heroin. He said it felt so good. He said it was the best. They
like stretching themselves, like getting high on the upper and then taking the downer and like riding.
He said
the
he
roller
ejaculated.
Coaster. What?
Yes, he said he wasn't even hard.
Holy
he said he wasn't. He was literally like just fucking like all fucking on heroin. You know how they get all folded up, and he said that he was feeling so good, and then when he got back to his senses, he was all stained up because he came,
Whoa.
and he said that was the last time he did it. He's scared of he did meth, but he never did both. And he said that time that happened, he was like, nah, fuck that. That's too good. I mean, he got shot like a few years ago. Rest in peace. But he's one of the guys that at first he tried to bully me in jail. Then we became really good friends after he tried to bully me and he saw that he couldn't. We became friends. And I when I got out, I tried looking for him, but they told me that he was bad in drugs, and then they found him dead one time. But yeah, like I was saying, at least other drugs kill you, man, and meth just keeps you like a zombie forever, forever and ever. There's one of my friends' dad. The doctor told him, bro, don't stop doing it. If you stop, you'll die. Like they literally, like your body is so like used to this that you wouldn't take a, what do you call it, the withdrawal.
Yeah,
your body wouldn't. Yeah, it will kill you. Like just keep doing it, bro. That's fucking. I mean, I hate that drug, man. That's one of the drugs I've never tried. I've lost friends over it. I like I said, I've even some family members that just get lost into that, man. I think that's the worst. That's one of the things, like, if I was ever like in charge, like a president or something, I would be like against meth, like Adderall and all that shit. I think it's.
When I was in a couple years ago, I was in Puerto Vallarta, and when I went down to like the streets and I was like riding around, I noticed on every corner there's like these little pop-up pharmacies with all of the fucking drugs you could possibly imagine, and they were all like knockoffs.
Have you seen the list? I was telling Luis, because he wants to do a story about it in TJ. I was like, look, you just exit the United States walking and just walk to downtown in Tijuana. It's like a couple miles, but since you're going along like places stuff, so it's not that long of a walk. But you see all these pharmacies with like a sign in the front door with Cialis, Adderall, Valium, all the good shit, all the good shit. They just advertise it there. Like they're not a fucking advertising a fucking I don't know, Pepto or nothing else.
Right.
They got the shit that they know the Americans are coming for.
Who is making that shit? Because it's not the actual like brand pharmacology stuff. It's not really hard to make pills.
You seen how they press pills before? Like how they make the ecstasy pills and stuff like that? It's not really that hard, man. I mean,
but who is doing that though? Is that the cartels?
That's kind of hard to ask because I don't think shit. I've never gone down that rabbit hole, to be honest. I mean, because I'm guessing they have to get it from somewhere. Maybe the supplier that's getting them. I don't know how it works for like pharmacies. I don't know if like the owner is in charge of putting together his suppliers. I don't know if the chain of pharmacies already has a supplier. I don't know if they know what's going on or only the supplier. I don't know. I don't really know how. But just thinking that it's not that easy to do. It's pretty easy for anybody to do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Any cartel member that buys a couple pharmacies, he could do that shit with his pharmacies. Just fucking make some fake Cialis, or I don't know what the fuck, or what are the other ones? The Adderall and all that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, man. It just seems like, just from talking to you and talking to Luis and Ed Calderon and all these people, it's this war just seems like there's no end in sight to it. And
I think it started like it's this. You know how when you try to put together a puzzle and you fucked up on one piece, and now you could take everything out.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened, and since the beginning they put something off, and then they just other thing fucked up, and then now all the fuck up has just been going on that we need like a reset button or something,
Yeah.
And I mean, it's man, it's I can't remember who saw that was talking about. I think it was Luis, about legalizing and stuff like that. You ask him something like that. There's this story. There's this newspaper in Tijuana called the Zeta. It's like the most famous one because even before social media, that was like our social media. That they had the news of the cartels. Like that was literally like you read that shit for like cartel information. Eventually, it kind of got watered down because they started getting into politics. So now if certain people is related to politician that they're involved with, they're not going to talk about it. So it got watered down. But at first, and they got this video on their website. It's like I think it's called a metaphor. They talk about this medieval times where there's this town and they have this dragon, and the dragon is a metaphor for like the narcos. And this dragon is always causing trouble in the town and whatever. And eventually, the town finds a way for the dragon to cause shit and doesn't affect them, because they try to kill him too many times and they just came back worse. So eventually, they just became friends with him, and now and they try to make this as a story for like our country. And I think that's kind of what's gonna have to happen, man. I mean, some sort of legalization with like amnesty and like. Because I know it's like, the Americans, we don't negotiate with terrorists. I know it sounds bad, but if that's the only way to stop it, what's stopping you from doing it? You know what I mean? If they're gonna be like I said, some amnesty or something where some of them can keep some of their stuff, maybe do some time, or maybe
like what they're doing. Your metaphor for the dragon is like it's also like the Hydra, where you cut off the fucking head of the snake and it just grows another head. So now you keep cutting off like Ovidio, like you arrest Ovidio, you get rid of the Los Chapitos. Well, now you're just creating a power vacuum. We're going to create more heads of the Hydra. You're just creating more and more factions, which creates more and more violence.
And all these people have generations waiting to join, bro. Like, there's kids right now. I don't have. I don't think he's gonna be able to find it. There's this video. There's corrido that's really famous right now, and it's about the Los Chapitos and their main security guy.
Chicken Little?
Yeah. And
Luis was telling me all about this guy. He just evaded some sort of raid.
Yeah. He watches podcasts, bro.
He watches podcasts?
He watches podcasts.
English podcasts?
I don't think he speaks English, but he watches. He's aware of what goes on in the social media. He's very well aware. I was telling Luis this. And but yeah, there's this corrido about him right now that is so popular. There's videos popping up of like kids in like school buses singing it in field trips. Like if you know how they row your boat. Well, now it's like they're singing corridos, man, everywhere. So all these kids, like, I mean, most of them, don't get me wrong, most of them, they see it as music, as what it is. Mm-hmm. But there's always this one or two kids that are like, yeah, I want to be that. That was me, bro. I wanted to be them. Like when I started singing, like, well, where I'm from in TJ, I didn't grow up around any famous singers, no famous rappers, no famous nothing. The only guys that had money, either you worked in the United States, a construction job, you had your nice truck, and your well-paid check, or you were in the cartel and you had you were cool in the community. The girls wanted you. You go to clubs. You don't have to wake up early, so you do whatever you want with your life. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, I wanted to be that too.
Yeah. And when you see these guys that have money too, they're driving sick cars.
Yeah. And at first you don't see, well, even if you see the bad thing, you're like, yeah, I want to be a bad guy. I want people to respect me. I want, and then, and that's, there's all kinds of kids growing up like this, looking. That's why when I started with my friend that he became famous and stuff, and he's just from a hood, just like mine, we started getting like this sort of like inspiration for young kids, like to let them know, like, look, we made it out of that shit without having to risk our lives or anything. We can chase our dreams. Mm-hmm. If you want to be a musician, you can do it. Don't think because you don't see nobody around you doing it, you can't do it. Nah, you can do it. So me and my friend have this kind of like, we started this shit in TJ, and he sings corridos, but he has a lot of songs that are not narco corridos. It's just corridos talking about how he struggled to become where he's, kind of like the narco story, but in the legal way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we started this little wave, and now even corridos became more popular because now you don't have to be a narco to listen to the narco corridos. You could relate, to just some people that is in a struggle, like rap. It's just so you could listen to a rap song and you relate to the rapper that he's singing about his struggle, how he had to sell drugs to get by. Now he doesn't sell drugs. Now he does good. So it's the same story. We actually, that's actually, I love rap, so I told him, I was like, look, rappers do this. We should do this with you because you got the swag and it's a generation. We started the whole trend. So yeah, man, I mean, now TJ has a lot of famous people. Now we have famous boxers that became popular because there's always been like sports and stuff. But if you're not into it, you didn't know about it. Now they're famous because of social media and because there's everybody just trying to like make a change too,
Yeah.
There's this famous painter that he paints faces of like our famous people from TJ or just any Mexican in like bridges and stuff in TJ. So now you drive around and you see like all these people's faces. And they're not like narcos or anything. They're like UFC champions, Brandon Moreno.
Yeah.
He's from TJ. There's his face in a bridge, a big ass bridge. And just like this, like different. I think all this movement started, and now there's a lot of good inspiration. You know what I mean? There, because the narco was always there. The culture, it's nice, bro. Like I've told people, I love it. Like I still love it, but I want something else. Like I'm passionate about creating too. Like I'm passionate about music. I'm passionate about writing. Like that moves me too. So now that I want to like do stuff more family and like want to get on my way, like it's not taking me, what do you call it? It's not that hard for me to give it up, you know, because this I'm passionate for this as well.
Right.
But if once
you found another path.
yeah, but once I talk about that shit and everything, I'm passionate about that too. It's like I because I grew up in it and just the culture and everything. I know it's fucked up and I know it's all the I've suffered, bro. From death, I cried from every death. Like I still do. From my uncle, he passed away last year, just for being in the wrong place at the wrong time. You know, he was a real hardworking man, but on the weekends he liked to smoke a little bit meth. And he wasn't like a meth head. He was just like right after work, he would go. He lived in TJ. He worked in the shipyards in San Diego. Got up for work on Fridays. Went to TJ, stopped by the Connect before pulling up to his house. You know, take a couple hits, and then go home and do whatever he needed to do with his family. But on one of the stops at the trap house, some guys came in and they thought he was from the Sinaloa cartel, and they shot him. There's a hardworking man that he just liked to get high on the weekends. You know what I mean? If it was legal, I'm pretty sure like he would have a safe place where he could get high, you know. But like I said, if it became legal, it's gonna take years for the program to everything get together, for the black market to shrink and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, deaths like that, like that's one of the worst deaths I've suffered recently. He was like my brother. He was only like 8 years older than me, and it's tragic because he never, you know, I mean, he did his time and everything, but right now he was just a working man and a family man, staying away from shit and everything. And shit happened, man. And I mean, I could ask my friends, you know, I could be like, hey, who did this, who did that? But I'm not trying to get it back into that. If I'm gonna ask, it's because I'm planning on doing something about it, you know. And many of my friends were like, hey, just tell me who it was, tell me what we need to do, we'll do, you know, we got you and all this stuff. But on my mind, I was like, if I do this, that's just pulling me back in.
Right.
I mean, I know my uncle would probably like that for me, but I gotta look out for my own path, you know, the whatever I want for my future. And I was moving out to San Diego and like getting away from stuff, and like, but when that happened, I still had like a little bit like the weed thing and stuff, or like the guns and stuff. But once that happened, that was it. That was it for me, because if I go out looking for the guys that did it, I know I'm gonna find them. It's a small place in TJ. I know I'm gonna find it, and I know I could do whatever I want to do to them. But yeah, man, that was just the end. That was like, yeah, this is it, man. It's either now or never.
Are there a lot of guys like you who have podcasts in Mexico? Are there a lot of like Spanish podcasts? Like you were mentioning that like at Chicken Little listens to a lot of podcasts. How many podcasts are there that are like deep into narco culture?
Deep into narco, not really many, but in Culiacan there's a few podcasts that's been popping up.
Really?
Yeah, and it's funny because they don't care about, it's like they're recording for their own people, but they don't know that all these people from all over the world are looking at it. So they're just telling stories about tablazos, getting tablated out. They're just telling stories about people I used to work for whoever. Or the podcast became popular with the COVID. I mean, I've been listening to podcasts since I've been listening since satellite radio, like Patrice O'Neill and all that. I've loved to listen to all that shit. So, and I always thought like, man, they should do this in Mexico. Like, but nobody like really care about it. Like, just listening to long ass conversations of people you don't know. Like, it didn't seem attractive. But once COVID hit, it's like a couple of podcasts. One of them is one of the most famous one. It's called Creativo in English, creative. And he kind of took the Joe Rogan vibe. And he's very intellectual. He's very smart. Creativo? Yeah, creative in Spanish, creativo. And
where's he based?
Nuevo León, Monterrey.
In Monterrey?
Yeah, Monterrey. And Monterrey has a few podcasts pretty good right now for comedians. He's not a comedian, but I think he's trying to be. He's one of them. And Adrian Marcelo, he's one of my really good friends. Shout out to him again. You should check him out. His podcast. He's a comedian. He's really funny. It's all Spanish, but he's really funny dude, man. And but yeah, in Culiacan, a couple of podcasts started coming up too. And one is called, I want to say Los Alucines, which is basically the what do you call this? not the wannabes, but like the kind of, just this person that talks about like shit that's been through, but exaggerates.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like it. That's the name of the show, and I think they have like lookouts. They interview like lookouts and stuff like that, and they have really funny like,
Yeah.
pieces, and that's the kind of shows that the guy we're talking about watch. And I'm pretty sure he watches a bunch of different because now the algorithm.
Yeah.
Now they put you all together.
What kind of people do you have on your podcast?
I started with singers, artists.
Oh, okay.
Because since I know many of them and famous, and like there's a really big music scene in Tijuana, so that's kind of like where I'm starting. But I'm taking cartel members. Some of my cartel members are willing to
Are
show
you gonna
up.
like put masks on them and change their voice?
I asked them. One of them said no. One of the one that shouted out that he was in that he did like 11 years. I think he said he'd be down to just do it. And I tell him like, hey bro, don't say anything that will get you in trouble. Like say shit that you already did your time for. Say stuff that you're cool. Because as long as I want that view or the views, I don't want to get you in trouble. You know what I mean? I'm not no snitch. I'm not no fucking Vlad TV. They fucking blame him for shit. So I always tell him this. But yeah, I mean, El Gordo Villarreal, I have his interview now recorded and everything, but he recorded with a...
You recorded him from prison?
Yeah, and contraband cell phone. So he's like, just wait till they move me to another prison and then you can publish it. You know what I mean? So we're waiting for that.
Wow, bro.
And then there's this other guy that just got out. I don't know if I should mention his name because it was national news. Him and his brother just got out, and they were the size of like Ramon Arellano. They worked with side to side with him.
Really?
And their case became really in the news because the United States let them stay here with work permits and everything. They did like 20 some years or more, but apparently what the guy was telling me, I'm gonna interview him. He just like getting comfortable, but he said yes. But he told me that his attorney got the judge to approve them to stay here because they put this thing where like they said if they were sent back to Mexico they could suffer torture and stuff like that, and there's a right against that in America. So the judge gave it to them, and now they're living here with permits to work and live here. And people were in Mexico bitching about like, oh, these killers, they have charges, they haven't done time in Mexico, but they were extradited from Mexico. But it's just this never ending of people wanting people to do time forever.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like because I have friends where I'm like, people change, right? Like there's people that come out of jail and don't want to go back. What's the point of keeping them there 30 years if with 15 it was enough? You know what I mean? And I mean, I get it. Like there's the other side of the coin where there's people that did 20 plus years and they just come out and they're like, yeah, I'm cartel 100%.
Yeah.
I know people like that. And it's crazy to me because I'm like, damn, like really, like I love that shit too, but I'm willing to like, but everyone's different, man.
Yeah, man. I think it's gonna take some sort of like evolution of culture to change this, and seeing people like yourself trying to like rise out of this shit. You know what I mean? Like rise out of this.
I think you see more people like me as the time is coming. I think it's all this podcasting and all this creative stuff that just came in hand for like people like us that like, I mean, I've always liked music, drawing and everything, but I never took the time to go to school, like and all that, which I would have if I would have learned how to do all this shit. Like I'll probably be like my podcast would be doing good, or I'll probably, maybe not even a podcast, maybe something something else. But I mean, with all these opportunities that you see and people like me setting examples for like younger kids, like I was posting that I was coming here, that I've been posting my little journey, on my
What's your podcast called? He can pull it up.
El Bordo.
El Bordo.
Yeah.
On YouTube?
Yeah, on YouTube. And yeah, I mean, I know people from all like reporters really interested, like Luis, people from his level. I know writers, I know cartel members, I know sports people, UFC people, artists, comedians, like I was telling you. I don't know, man, like I'm not famous, but I meet famous people and they like me. We become friends. We just become like, every time they come to TJ, they hit me up.
This you?
Yeah, that's me.
El Bordo Entertainment, there it is.
My the logo is the highway in TJ next to the border, but it's a very well site. So like once I published the logo, everybody was like, "Oh man, that's cool." Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah, I only have like 4 episodes because the guy that was recording me, it was his equipment and he moved. So right now
really?
I had to like make some legal money, which is took me the double amount of time. So now I bought my mics, I bought my cameras, I bought 2 cameras, I bought my my mix cast. So yeah, I'm shooting now. I actually shot my first. Well, with my equipment, I shot my first podcast last week, which should be. Actually, I haven't checked, but my I should have posted it today that it was coming out tomorrow.
Okay.
So yeah, and this one's gonna get views because of the artist that I have. It's a real. How do you say, like in Spanish is polémico? I don't know how you say in English. Like very
Problematic.
not problematic, but he's a character that people want to listen to him because I was telling you he's really into like he really sung to the Tijuana cartel only, kind of like it seemed like he was part of the cartel, like he was their cheerleader, so like many people he grabbed many people's attention because at first he started singing with his face mask, with a face mask. He wouldn't sing, because he was singing just so his lyrics were so he wasn't playing around with his words. Sometimes you play around with words so you don't say shit directly. He was
like
saying
controversial.
He was saying, yeah, he was very controversial. That's the word. He's very controversial. And we actually helped him, me and my friend from Codiciado. Well, mostly him. He got him to do a duet with him, like a feature. And my friend is already in the commercial level. So he was a real good underground artist with like millions of views. So the guy I'm talking about, that guy I interviewed.
Yeah.
So once my friend opened the door for him, everybody was like, "Hey, I met you before. I've heard your music, but I didn't know how to approach you because you give this vibe that you're like you're more of a cartel than a singer." So not many people wanted to work with him, people in the industry, the music industry. But now that he came with us and like we opened all these doors, everybody was like, "Yeah, like I've heard you," and he was all psyched up about it. He's like, "Yeah, man, like I've been trying to go commercial, but people think I'm cartel because I only stick to them." But they're the only guys asking me for corridos. Like I don't see Sinaloa people asking, but now they are asking him. But at first, there was no other people asking him to make songs about him, and he can't make a song about somebody without their authorization. You know what I mean? So I interviewed him, and since he has cartel friends and I have cartel friends, he's never been able to talk about that in other podcasts. So with me, we mention names, we talk about,
and that's dropping tomorrow.
Yeah, that should be dropping tomorrow. Hopefully, if my editors are up to the
Sorry, you got time. This won't come out until next Monday, so we got time. You got
okay.
It'll be out by the time this goes up.
It'll be in Spanish, but I'm pretty sure some of you
I'll put links to your podcast in the description so people know how to find it. But it's fucking 2 a.m. I'm fucking. I haven't been up this late in a long time.
Really? Probably because the flight, and like I said, I slept the whole flight. So
I know, and I'm bitching, but you traveled all day.
Yeah,
San Diego.
But yeah, man. I mean, we missed out on a lot of stories, like famous rapper stories out there in Mexico. Being escorted by the cartel.
That was a great story. We can't tell that guy's name though.
Nah, man. I mean, but you saw both of them, and they're both famous and they're both relevant. The artist and the guy that was protecting him. But yeah, man, I mean, some of these rappers and artists, they have to.
So that rapper was doing a show in Tijuana, and
not in Tijuana, Tijuana, some other place in Mexico.
Some other place in Mexico.
Yeah.
And when they got there, they realized that, oh shit, these people that are escorting us are cartel.
Yeah, and as soon as they got there, like as soon as the yeah, man, I wish I could give you a little bit of details, but yeah, it was.
Hopefully, we can do this on another episode.
Yeah,
we can tell who the rapper is,
and I'll give you the
This will be a great cliffhanger.
Yeah, it is, man, and yeah,
cool, man.
We'll save it for next time.
I appreciate you coming on here and sharing your perspective. I think it's going to be extremely eye opening for a lot of people.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I don't do this for people who want to get into the life. Hopefully, try to keep it from them. There's other stuff better to do with your life. I mean, this sounds exciting. This sounds like movie type thing and everything. But I mean, right now I was just telling you the cool parts. I mean, I'm not telling you all the times I've cried for my friends. I'm not telling you all the people I have doing life in prison. My friends that call me and they get motivated by me because of what I'm doing now. And they're like, yeah, man, when I get out, like I'm gonna do like some positive shit too. You know what I mean? And that's a message I hope I spread with like these stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's what you're doing, man.
All right. Hopefully.
It's extremely powerful, man. Thank you again.
All right. Thank you.
Time for bed.